Hello everyone. Welcome. Welcome to my, sim. We're gonna start game here in just a second. Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to Our Life Beginnings and Always. For those who don't know me, hi, my name is Susan, and I am an Arctic fox who lives among the Sakuras. And with me today is my lovely boyfriend. Say hello.
Hey guys.
You sound a little different today, or is it just me?
Wait, what?
Oh, never mind. You
Yeah,
sound
no,
a
I
little...
just a bit.
You
Yeah,
just
I was
sound
just
a
away
little
from the mic
different.
a bit.
No, it's okay. Let me just fix my browser. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
So, I really wanted to... I've always wanted to stream this game for you guys because this is honestly a really cute game. Oh, wait, I should probably share this with you, sweetie, so,
Oh.
in the DMs.
Cute.
Okay.
Hey, Jeebus.
Hey, Jeebus, how's it going? Good to see you. Pretty head pat giver. Yes, I am the one who gives head pats on Billy's channel. Hello, welcome to the stream. We're going to be playing this really cute visual novel called Our Life Beginnings and Always, and my boyfriend and I are going to actually be voicing in it. So I've really wanted to play this game because it's actually really cute. I discovered this in my own time actually, because I was like browsing through like Steam just to find some things to play, and this game happened to pop up, and it has nothing but positive reviews. This is LGBTQ friendly, so I'm really excited for you guys to be seeing this. Oh, I just took a drink, Jeeba, so thank you, but we may have to take breaks a few times because I do have to hydrate because this does require some voicing, so... Now, for this beginning part, we're both gonna have to voice like we're young kids, okay? But there is adults in this, so...
Alright.
So we'll go ahead and get a new file in, and we'll get started. Yes. Okay. Here's the tutorial, guys, so you guys can go through this with me. Welcome to Our Life, Beginnings and Always. There are various ways you can customize and interact with the game. This tutorial is an overview of how each certain features work. Blah blah. To start off, the game is divided into 4 time periods called steps. Step 1, childhood. Step 2, adolescence. Step 3, young adulthood. And Step 4, adulthood. Our life is further divided into sets of vigilance that take place during specific periods of time. Those are called moments. Moments can be played in any order or skipped entirely. You can move on to the next step whenever you want by selecting that summer is ending. Steps 1 and 3 include 5 memories each, and even more can be unlocked by purchasing DLCs. Some are out now, and other DLCs will be released later on. Step 4 is an epilogue and doesn't include moments. Now, I actually purchased all the DLC for this game. The game is free to play, but the DLC itself is about 15 USD, so it's worth it to get the extra stuff. A lot happens over the years that go by, especially in regard to the character you play as. You determine nearly everything about the main character: name, appearance, personality, pronouns, interests, skills, their relationship with major characters, and so on. You can decide to change the details as time goes on, with a few exceptions. Your last name, skin tone, and eye color cannot be altered once set. Much of the MC's basic traits are determined on a character creation screen. As the MC grows up, more options become available on the screen. As mentioned, one of the decisions you'll get to make for your character is selecting a name. You can type any name you like, or you can pick a preset name. Preset options are called voice names because the name will be voiced aloud by the romantic lead. You'll get to hear him say your name as you play through the story. Only the default name Jamie is included in the base game. Hundreds more can be added by getting a free voice name expansion DLC, which I have. The full collection of names is separated out as DLC because of how large it is. If you're not interested in that feature, you don't need to get it. Each name in the DLC belongs to, or was selected by someone who supported this project. And thankfully my name was among it, so. On the character creation screen, there's a cute doll you can decorate to get an idea of what your MC looks like with different traits put together. Not all the things you decide about the MC appear on the doll. The script referencing what you've decided for the MC in the main way is the main way those decisions influence the game. Our life has a first-person perspective, so your character does not appear in the other character's sprites. You only see the MC as the decorative doll and in special cut and CG images. The cut and CGs only appear if certain choices are made. It's possible not to see any during a playthrough. There's also a second type of special MC-based screen, the interest/comfort screen. Unless you get all the DLCs, the game has one love interest, Cove Holden. He grows up with the MC, and the interest/comfort screen is crucial for determining how that plays out. Interest levels set how much you like him. There are 4 levels: disinterested, fond, crush, and love. Love is only available starting in step 3, and if you were fond or crush in step 2. Comfort determines how you generally react/think when it comes to him. There are 3 levels: nervous, relaxed, and direct. Your level of interest and comfort will set the type of dynamic your character has with the love interest. What you did in the past will influence the present, and feelings can change over time. You get to pick your interest/comfort near the beginning of every step. Comfort can switch between 3 levels as you please. Your interest level can only stay the same or increase. Your current level of interest will become the new lowest option on the screen in the future. For example, if you decide to be fond in step 1, this interest will not be available on the screen in steps 2 and 3, which will make fond the bottom level option for your relationship. Interest levels have an impact when it comes to physically interacting with Cove. While growing up, things are rather simple. If you get along with one another and have a close relationship, you can choose to touch him, and Cove will occasionally interact with the MC in lighthearted or comforting ways. But, starting in step 3, touching can become more romantic or suggestive if you are at crush or love. To make sure things go nicely with that, there will be an extra choice to determine intimate level, and a bonus mini tutorial that goes along with the choice to explain the feature in more detail. Basically, even if you decide to like Cove, the game won't force you to act on those feelings. You can always choose not to get together with him, choose not to accept or give romantic gestures, etc. If you do decide to date Cove, though, you can't break up with him later. Interest/comfort gets the basics down, but it's the choices that appear throughout the normal game events to decide what actually happens between the MC and Cove. And it isn't the only MC who's impacted by your decision. Cove grows and changes over the years. How he's treated and what he experiences helps shape who he becomes. In steps 2 and 3, Cove's personality, appearance, and interest will vary based on what happens in the previous step. It's something of a mystery exactly how your decisions end up changing him. You can try to guess as you go along. Or, if you prefer, you can always just design your own ideal Cove directly using the Cove Creator option that pops up at the beginning of steps 2 and 3. Making the choices you want is always more important than making a choice because you feel like you have to in order to get a certain result. When a choice appears, usually you'll see that hovering over the cursor, an option shows a certain color: yellow, blue, or green. The colors aren't related to specific points or effects. They're only to give a bit of an insight / on the tone of emotion of the choice, since the text alone can potentially be read in more than one way. Blue tends to be casual / straightforward, yellow is more emotion / reactive, and green less certain / uncommitted. Though there are hundreds of options in our life, and not every choice menu falls in with the pattern, picking just one color every time doesn't give a gameplay benefit. Only stick to a certain type if that's what you happen to like, otherwise, switch between them freely. Always pick yellow, never pick yellow, presume romantic rights from the start, never romance love interest to be disagreeable or admittable, that will lead to a bad ending. You're welcome to enjoy the effects and shape of the story without reservation, and then, if you like, you can play again to try something new. There's only ever more good content to discover. We hope you have a nice time with our life. Thank you for playing! Ugh. Okay, so this is where the creator comes in. This is the doll that you can basically create. Wait, how's the stream, by the way? Am I lagging? No, good. Okay.
I think so, no.
Okay, so now you start at certain age ranges throughout your life. In this first part, your character is about 8 years old. So for this part, pick on what you remember looking like when you were 8 years old. So I'll go ahead and make my doll for you now. I should also mention there are voice names, which is this here. This is default. But as you can see, there are a bunch of other names that you can pick from. And of course, it's all sorted alphabetical, so you have trouble finding any, and we'll go with mine.
Susan.
Yes. See? It even says my name. And for last, we're gonna go with Sakura, because I can.
Makes sense.
And of course, I'm a she. As you can see, they do have the they option, but think about it, the they option wasn't really as popular probably when you were 8, so makes sense. You can of course now change your face shape. I'm going to go with my skin more peachy. Face shape, oval. Eyes like this. Color, they're brown. Hair front. Well, let me get the color first. Brown. So
I think that's the closest.
Yeah.
Oh, they have a horror haircut.
Go with that in my back. That's about closest. Now
Okay.
we'll go to change page. I don't have any birthmarks, scars, or I do have freckles. I have freckles all over me. Hand size, go with slender. And I do have glasses. We'll go with the oval one. Now you can also have like birthmarks on certain places or scars, freckles. Clothing type, for me it's usually shirts and pants. Accessory type, when I was 8 I didn't really wear accessories, so I don't know if it's really seen in the game, but yeah. Hi Riolu! How are you doing, buddy? I hope you're doing well. Here, let me give
There
you a
we
shout
go.
out. There you go. Guys, please check out Riolu. He's an up-and-coming YouTuber streamer who likes to play a lot of DVD. I'd really appreciate if you guys would send him some love. You can still see the screen, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we're gonna get started with the game. Now again, our character here is about 8 years old when we first talked to her, so we're gonna sound like we're little kids. So if I have to take a break to get a drink, yeah. Alright, so let's get started. Done. Summer in Sunset Burr was a special time of year. Your usually sleepy town began to bustle. It was a popular tourist destination, with people coming from all over to enjoy the beach, the weather, and the relaxation that came with both. The smell of the ocean, crisp and salty, hung in the air, bringing 3 whole months of school-less vacation with it. During the summer, your moms didn't like you to wander too far outside your neighborhood, so you knew the area pretty well. That included the people. Families came and went from Sunset Bird, but they mostly stayed and did what your mom called putting down roots. They built businesses, they got to know each other, and they definitely said hello to the nice young kids who waved when passing their stores. Going for a walk around town mostly meant that the familiar, friendly residents waved or asked how your family was, or most often just said hello. Now this is like the choices you can pick from. So let's see how you were in 8. So I think I was definitely more the quiet, nervous kid that didn't really talk much, so I'm gonna say this one. You were too anxious to say hi back to most of the other residents that greeted you, but they all knew you well enough to expect that. They still smiled at you anyway, and that made you feel a little more comfortable. But today, there was a man sitting on the curb outside your house. He was sitting with his head in his hands, his whole body slumped over, and you wondered if he was even a real person, or a statue that had magically sprung up in the ground overnight. Whoever and whatever he was, you had never seen him before. One thing about knowing everyone in Sunset Bird was that people who you didn't recognize really, really stood out. It was rare for tourists to venture into the residential district, as your moms called it. So for you, not knowing who a total stranger was setting off a lot of red flags. Your mom's had a talk with you and your big sister Lizzie about this kind of situation before. You remember that it's okay to run away if you feel uncomfortable. You don't have to worry about being polite to them. You weren't sure about this man yet. Still, you felt a bit scared knowing he was walking your way to the front door. You slowed down, your mind was racing for ideas on how to get past him unseen, but it was too late to escape. There was a split second when your eyes met and you took a shaky breath, your eyes darting to the sky, pretending to stare at a bird who was hovering nearby. This would be you.
Okay. Hey.
This is a guy, like a man.
Oh, okay. Hey.
His voice startled you and you made your jump, but you still didn't look at him. The bird landed on top of a nearby gatepost and its black feathers ruffled against the gentle breeze. Trying to keep your eye on it was tough, especially when the man stood up and started to make his way toward you. Still unsure about him, but willing to be friendly, he offered the stranger a smile. The man gives off a grin on his own back.
Do you live around here? What's your name?
You looked up at the man, taking in his tanned skin and relaxed appearance. At least his clothes were relaxed, and the way he was acting wasn't. He had sharks on his shorts and a stingray tattoo, and you wondered if he was obsessed with the ocean or something. While you made your assessment, he looked at you expectantly, waiting for an answer to his question. I live right there. My name is Susan.
Great. Nice to meet you, Susan.
He gave you a broad smile, relief settling on his face. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a clean $20 bill. It crinkled in his hand as it held it up to you. Even more confused than before, you looked back at him.
Well, could you do me a favor? Nothing bad. Sorry, I should have... Let me start over.
He cleared his throat and stood up straighter. From where you were standing, it just made him look creepier.
I have a son. His name is Cove, who's about your age.
Red flags yet? Not really. He doesn't seem that scary. He said he has a son, so I don't think he is. You thought that was pretty cool. You never met anyone with that name.
We moved in across the street, see?
He gestured toward the house that had been empty for a year, his watch catching the late afternoon sunlight reflecting off the walls. The gigantic for sale sign was finally gone.
You must be Susan Sackler, right? I met your moms earlier, and they told me you were 8, just like him, so...
He shook the $20 bill to bring it back to your attention, a hopeful smile tilting his lips out at the corners.
Can you try to be friends with the boy? Bruh. Give it a chance, and you can keep this. He's a good kid. You'll like him.
Do you mind?
You gotta keep it a secret too, okay? It wouldn't be friendly to say his dad sent you.
You kind of felt sorry for Cove. This definitely wasn't the normal way kids made friends. You knew that.
What'd you say? Wanna make a deal?
I took the bill. You carefully plucked the bill from his outreached hand and grinning at the thought of what you could do with that much cash. There was a cute stuffed animal you had seen in the store in town. It was gonna be able to come home with you. And that was just the start, you thought. The sky was limit with that kind of amount. The man smiled at you, his eyes crinkling at the sides as he did.
Great, that's great. I'll bring him by tomorrow. I want him to meet and greet with the neighbors today, but... well, I don't know where he's gotten off to.
He laughed when he said that, but the way his face looked, you thought he actually wanted to cry.
If you see him, can you tell him to come on home? He's got a pink cast and glasses. You can't miss it.
Okay. This definitely wasn't the normal way kids made friends. You knew that, but you were still going to help. The man smiled and reached out to pat you on the head, paused before doing so, then pulled his hand away instead.
Your moms are already checking around for me. Such a thoughtful group you are. Now, I better go look too. Got to put everyone else to work while I keep sitting here.
Oh, really? You're gonna be moving? That's interesting. I hope that goes well for you.
Yeah. I thought he might come back here. That's not important. I have to go. Thanks again, Susan. So much.
He jogged up down the street without another word. You decided to check the hills behind your house. Step 1.
Full Metal...
First sight.
Oh, I was gonna do Full Metal Alchemist. Just because of the border.
The chirping crickets in the tall grass greeted you, quiet and familiar. From the top of the hill you could see the ocean. As you walked, you listened to the crash of the waves on the shore and the seagulls squawking as they settled down for the night. You love to hear stories about the sea, about the merfolk and sea serpents you imagine living far beneath the waves. Sometimes you can almost convince yourself if you had seen the flash of a shiny mermaid's tail in the distance. You took in a deep breath. You wanted to try to relax and couldn't. You weren't sure what, but something told you that you weren't alone, so you glanced around. There was a boy sitting on top of the hill, almost completely hidden within the long grass and the white flowers surrounding him. His head was buried in his knees, staring ahead by himself. For whatever reason, probably that he just wasn't paying attention, he hadn't noticed you yet. You watched him a minute longer, feeling a little bit like you found a deer in the wild. Though the deer didn't have huge glasses. But this new boy did. He watched as he pushed himself up the bridge. He watched as he pushed him up the bridge of his nose with a finger. After a few more seconds, he took a step forward, then another, and then he glanced your way. His aquamarine eyes reflected the light of the moon. You stopped, raising a hand to acknowledge him and show you weren't scary. I remembered he's 8, so...
Yep.
Hi! With a start, he jumped to his feet, his hands balling into fists at his side. He didn't say anything, just stared at you in a strange way. He had been crying. There were traces of tears on his cheeks and his knees, soaking the hem of his shorts, and his eyes were still shining with a few more. You obviously caught him off guard. His pink cast seemed to glow in the twilight, though when he caught you staring at it, he hid his arm behind his back. Something the man earlier said stuck out to you. Cove? Eyes wide, he studied you.
How'd you know that?
You touched the money in your pocket, feeling a crinkle beneath your fingertips. I met your dad.
Oh. So, is this your hill?
He gestured with his uninjured arm to the patch of grass surrounding you, his face falling at the prospect.
I can leave if it is.
You shook your head. While doing so, you also picked at a strand of lint on your leg. What a weird question to ask someone.
Oh.
He sat back down with a thump, resting his chin on his knees again. Curious about the strange new boy with the odd dad, you sat on the patch of grass next to him. The pure white flowers that covered the hill rocked back silently, back and forth, gently as the stars twinkled above. The way they dotted in the sky made them seem like flowers, too. The night wind was cool as it traveled over the ocean and then up on the hill, chasing away the heat from the afternoon sun. Why are you here? A quiet hiccup escaped Cove as soon as you asked that question. Almost like they never stopped, his tears started up again with a vengeance.
Parents. They don't want to live together with me anymore.
The tears fell fast and heavy over his flushed cheeks, sticking in his dark lashes.
My mom made my dad leave, and he took me with him. And now we have a house here, and I want to go home.
The outburst took you off guard. By the time he was done wailing, Cove's chest was heaving with exhaustion. He sniffled and removed his glasses, wiping at his eyes with the back of his hand before putting them back on again.
I hate this place. I want my old life back. I want my mom.
I'm sorry. He slipped his hands underneath his glasses and pressed his fingers against his eyelids. Cove wound himself up again for another long crying fit. He felt bad for him, being forced to come here with no choice. You couldn't imagine what it would be like to live with only one of your moms, but it must be pretty hard. But from way off in the distance, you heard your parents. Susan!
Cove?
Cove!
Kids, where did you go? Cove looked up at you, tears still clinging to his cheeks.
Don't tell them we're here.
I want to go home.
I don't want to go back to that house. I want to go home.
It will be okay. You were struck by a sudden need to reassure Cove. It's not gonna be all be fun, but isn't he your family too?
Yeah, I guess.
And then you can count on him when you really, really need him. You shot him a grin and pushed yourself to your feet. Slowly, Cove stood up with you, still looking a little reluctant. His dad's voice rang out again.
Cove, can you hear me?
He looked towards the sound of his dad's voice, silent, then turned away while rubbing his not-bandaged arm.
Sorry.
Sorry. I still don't want to go.
You waited silently with him. Yeah, I get it.
You do?
Before he could answer, you heard Cove's dad even closer than before.
There you are, bud.
The trio of parents appeared over the curve of the hill. Instantly, all their eyes landed on you, and they rushed over. Both of your moms were at your side in a split second, faces filled with worry. Susan, you're here after all. We had been at the park to check for Cove and then heard what happened earlier than when you met the new neighbor. I thought you might have gone further away. Yeah, if you guys are curious, Mom is the one in the yellow shirt and Mommy's the one in the purple shirt. Yeah, we have two moms. That's one of the LGBT reps they have. You have two mothers, which is kind of cool. We're okay. Don't worry. Oh, thank God you're both fine. Were you two having fun out here? You looked over at Cove, who was wiggling against his dad's tight hug and pushing at his arms. This one. Yes, I like him. You nodded, smiling slightly. Finally letting go of his swerving, scowling son, Cove's dad turned to the three of you.
That's a relief. Thanks very much for finding him. I really don't know this neighborhood.
Well, good thing Susan knows this whole area so well.
Absolutely. We should be getting home now. It's been a long day for us all. Say goodbye, Cove.
Bye.
Bye.
The two of them walked off into the darkness, heading towards the neighborhood. He watched Cove's bright pink cast until it disappeared. Tell you what, we'll have a proper playdate tomorrow, okay? Your new friend's dad wanted to bring him by to see you and Lizzie. How does that sound? Sure, can I show him my stuff?
Of course.
Of course. Then, okay. Both your moms laughed, the sounds overlapping into a warm, familiar chorus. Mommy put her arms around your shoulder and led you towards the path. Satisfied and more than a little ready to go to bed after your long, exciting day, you followed them home. Choose your feelings for Cove. This is how you feel towards Cove in the steps. It can't be changed later. So, we'll say I'm relaxed, but I'm fond. Don't go. I mean, crush is weird, but because you're meeting someone for the first time, so.
Yeah. Plus, they're kids. That whole thing can be dealt with when they get older.
Yeah, there are achievements for like choosing different points. So, I should probably also save. So.
Of course.
You have like 40 save files to play with, so you have plenty to play with. So there we go. Alright, is everybody in chat doing okay? Looks like it. Okay, so let's continue. Beep. You won't be able to change again until step 2. Yes. At the breakfast table the next morning, you finished your food faster than usual. Your sister Lizzie had run earlier to go play, but you stayed put. Today, just like your mom's promise, Cove was coming over to hang out. Excited to see your new friend again, Susan? Yes, I am.
How sweet.
How sweet. I'm so happy he moved in.
Okay.
With that said, are you done with your breakfast? Yeah. With all the expiration an 8-year-old can muster, you looked at your empty cereal bowl, then at Mom.
Okay.
Okay, attitude kid. We see. Good job. He should be here soon. Cleanup began, and then on cue there was a knock. It was hesitant, like the person wasn't sure they were in the right place. Still loud, though. Oh, we need to get a more obvious doorbell. I know. Susan, could you get it? Wiggling out of your chair without really pushing it back, you made your way to the door.
Hi, soccer family. Thanks for having us.
Mr. Holden, as your moms must have called him, and his son were here. Cole looked different in the bright light of your living room, and when he wasn't crying. With his dad standing in front of him, and Mom and Mommy behind you, you and Cove looked at each other. Pleased to see your new friend again, you smiled at Cove. He smiled back with some hesitation. Let's go play in my room.
Okay.
Take care.
Let us know if you need anything, you two. Have fun, kids.
See you. See you later, son. Play nice.
Oh, look at our room. It's so cute.
Oh, a little penguin.
No, I like the sheep. You led him to your room, puffing out your chest and a little bit the sight of your treasures. There were lots of stuffed animals, a cool bed, a window to look out. It was a great room. You hadn't had anyone to show it to in a while, but you were really proud of it. You leaned in closer, a little closer to look at one of your drawings on the wall.
I like this.
I drew that.
Cool.
You smiled at him. You were proud of that particular piece of art, and you were glad he noticed it. He turned to look around the room a little more, studying the books on your desk and the pictures on the walls. You hoped he liked your room. You put a lot of effort into making your room as nice as it was. You hope he didn't say anything bad about it. And his eyes landed on the tiny box of beach things you collected tucked away by your door. He took a step towards it before hesitating and pointing at it instead.
What's that?
Oh, here's stuff I found at the beach.
Oh,
Do you have any driftwood in there?
Dragging the box into the middle of the room, you and Chloe flopped down next to it. I think so. Yeah, see? You gestured to a piece at the bottom, still covered with specks of sand.
neat.
Neat. This is a good collection.
You got the sense from the tone of his voice that he wasn't just saying it to be nice, or to be like Shiloh. He actually meant it. Oh, right, I almost forgot. Shiloh's gonna be here today.
Shiloh?
Lizzie's friend. Or, like, her #1 fan, I guess.
Do I have to see him?
It should be okay. I mean, he's Lizzie's friend, not mine, but, you know. Come on, check out my shell some more. I found this one under a big piece of seaweed that I washed ashore, and... You pulled out seashell after seashell, explaining where you got each one and holding them up against the light. There were big ones, small ones, pink, purple, and orange. Most of them you washed off in the bathroom sink when you brought them home, cleaning off the sand. The collection was so huge and varied that he had a lot of funny stories to tell for all of them. Apparently fascinated either by the stories or by the shells themselves, Cove listened with what looked like the full force of his attention. Like when he almost got pinched by a hermit crab while searching for shells, and after watching him scuttle back into the ocean, he found another empty shell that was almost a twin to his home. It was a new experience to be the center of such dedicated focus. But Cove hadn't been mean to you, so you didn't mind. You smiled at him every now and then while showing him your collection. Kids, come down to the living room! You can tell the idea was making him unhappy, but Mommy wasn't giving you much of a chance to hang around. Cove hadn't been like this meeting you. You guess it was because he thinks you found each other by accident, not that a parent made it happen. Mr. Holden must be right telling Cove his dad was part of that would be a bad idea. Before you knew it, you both had been escorted downstairs and deposited in the living room ready for Shiloh's visit. The two of you sat side by side on the floor of your home's entryway.
I brought the box of shells. I want to keep looking at them.
Okay, but be careful.
I will.
You weren't sure if you could trust someone else with your treasures yet, so you stayed next to him while he opened the lid and peered inside. Cove reached in and pulled out a big orange cell.
Oh.
Like he hadn't spoken aloud yet, he turned to you and held it up, his eyes shining.
I think this one is the best of them.
I like a different one best. I can show it to you. You reached into the box and take out the one you preferred. Cole looked on with interest.
Oh.
The two of you were still sitting on the floor looking through your collection of beach findings when the doorbell finally rang. Cove jumped, startled by the sound. Since the person hadn't knocked, he figured it was probably Shiloh. He knew where to look for that.
Lizzie's friend.
You nodded, but that didn't seem to make Cove feel better. It was already obvious that Cove didn't hide his feelings well. You could tell what he was thinking right away.
This isn't a good idea.
He'll be alright. He's here. We can't tell him to leave. He's here. We can't tell him to leave. He's only at our door, and if you go upstairs, he'll find you. Cove glanced around the room, his eyes wide. He finally paused with his gaze locked onto the back of the house.
I can go out the window.
He was already walking towards it. Scrambling to think of something to say, he stepped forward, then paused. Shiloh isn't the least scary person alive. Every single bunny rabbit is scarier than Shiloh.
I don't want to see him. I don't know him.
You comforted him. It's okay if you're worried. Nobody warned you this was gonna happen.
Thanks.
Shiloh poked his head into the living room. It was impossible to know for sure if he had heard what you'd been saying or not, but you guessed that he had.
Hi.
This is a boy.
Hey, Susan.
There's a boy, by the way, so.
Oh, okay. Good night, Cove.
Cove shot you an uneasy glance.
Hi.
And hi. I'm Shiloh. It's nice to meet you. Yeah. You have a lot of freckles. Right. I do. What are you guys doing? We're looking at shells.
Can I do it too?
Awesome. Can I do it too?
Cove shrugged and looked back at your box of beach findings.
What about that one?
The plan for the afternoon, at least as far as you were concerned, was to sit and look at beach things some more. You weren't really in the mood to do much of anything else, especially if Cove was having fun. Hey, check out this scallop shell I found. Cool, right?
It's a pretty color. Kind of like my cast.
The beautiful glittering paint did look a bit like the wrap around his arm.
Pink is a nice color. Okay.
Oh?
Is it your favorite? Not really. What is? Maybe green or blue. It might be yellow. Oh, those are all cool.
I guess.
I guess.
There are better colors.
Says you.
You pulled your tongue out at Cove, trying not to laugh when he did the same thing in retaliation. Like usual, it didn't take long for Shiloh to get fidgety. Lizzie was his favorite. Without her around, Shiloh didn't seem to know what to do with himself. And Cove wasn't like your sister. He wasn't that much like you either.
Is Lizzie coming back? Oh no.
Aw.
Aw. Where'd she go?
I think she's at the beach. Probably.
Is she playing at her park?
Cove's eyes lit up the mention of a park, and he looked towards you.
There's a park?
Yep, but it's old.
Can you show me? I want to go.
You started getting up before you had even answered, and Shiloh jumped up beside him in excitement.
Really? You do too, right, Susan? The park is fun.
The park is pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right at the beach. There's lots of fun stuff to do and lots of sand.
It has a jungle gym and a bunch of swings.
That sounds like it could be cool. So, are we gonna find Lizzie? I don't know. I never really wanted to see her. I just wanted to check the park out.
Adrift without any direction, Shiloh finally turned to you. Okay. He perked up. Both boys wanted to go. It was only fair. After getting permission from your moms, the three of you were ready to head out. It was a short walk to the park. Lizzie had convinced your moms that it was so short, she could always be allowed to walk there by herself. When you found her, she was hanging on the jungle gym, swinging back and forth. Hey, Lizzie! Her face lit up when she saw you, her big brown eyes going wide. Susan! Shiloh!
Hey.
She dropped to the ground and landed with a soft thud in the sand. In a split second, Shiloh abandoned you two and scrambled over to stand by her. You were used to being left out when it was just the three of you, but now Cole was here. You wondered if he would leave too. Who's that?
It's Cove. He's new.
Hi.
Hi, remember. Hi, Cove. Welcome to my park. Nobody ever comes to play here, so this is where we get together. She gestured wildly with her arms as if to present the area to the newcomer. While Lizzie continued talking, took the chance to kick off your shoes and wriggle your toes through the warm sand. Nice, huh? In this neighborhood, I'm the one who comes up with the ideas.
You are?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I am. Who else can handle the job?
Lizzie is the eldest.
By a lot. Mom says you're Susan's age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so. I'm still the only one in the group with double digits. So Lizzie here is actually about 10 years old, and we're 8, so...
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
What about other kids? Other kids?
There aren't any. We're the only kids here, and Shiloh's just visiting from another place. Not even tourists really bring their kids here. This is a land of ancients. Be careful that the oldies don't try to steal their youth. Steal your youth.
Oh.
Oh.
For a second, it looked like he might cry again. But something his eyes shifted, and he looked back at Lizzie.
What kind of old people? Like moms and dads or grandparents?
Grandparents who don't have kids, they hate kids.
Why? You haven't done anything.
Only some of them don't like kids.
You interjected quickly, hoping Lizzie wouldn't take things too far. Cove sniffled, his forehead creasing with worry. Lizzie was staring Cove down, but Cove really wasn't looking at her anymore. He didn't seem to care that she was there. He went into his own head. Shiloh was the next one to speak, completely unaware of the situation.
I met Lizzie and Susan in school. You'll see tons of kids there when summer is over. I don't want to go to a new school. I want summer to end.
Shiloh looked down to the dirt. He hadn't had much luck striking up conversations with Cove.
I like summer vacation a lot too.
All the building tension in the air suddenly vanished when Lizzie laughed. At Shiloh's discomfort at how weird she thought Cove was, at something else entirely he didn't really know, but she laughed, face scrunching up.
Okay. Welcome to Sunset Bird Cove. Take a seat, put up your feet, and get used to it.
He offered him a small smile at that. At least, he looked to reassure him some. For the rest of the summer, Cove was always there. You saw him more often than Shiloh, and on some days, when she was in a bad mood or busy, you even saw him more than Lizzie. He became a staple of your everyday life, the way the sun and lunch and the beach were. During your first summer together, you really liked Cove. He was a fun person to play with, and he seemed to like playing with you too. Of course, that was only the start of things. Just put in the save. Here we go. Now this is called the moments page. As you can see, there's a total of, when you get the main game, that comes with the top 5 right here. The top 5: shopping, grown up, long days, sandcastle, and fireflies. That's what you get in the main game. But if you purchase the DLC, you get 5 additional stories to play with. Okay, well, I'm gonna take a little. We're already 40 minutes into the stream. Wow. I think the main goal is we're gonna see how far we get, and if we do feel tired, we can stop. But Phew. Everybody in chat doing all right? Hope so.
It doesn't look like much is going on in the chat, so.
I mean, I figured you were talking a lot, so. All right. So, you ready to begin with the first moments?
Yep.
Let's go. Shopping.
We're back before it gets dark, alright, sport?
The familiar voice drifted across the street and drew your attention away from the snail you'd been watching it slowly across the pavement. Cope waited in front of his dad, pushing his green hair back off his face from where the breeze was blowing over his glasses. He looked to be paying only a mild amount of attention as he was being handed a few slips of green paper. It reminded you of when he first met Mr. Holden, although he's probably not paying Cope to be friends with himself. Cope's dad seemed to feel your gaze somehow, or maybe you made a noise, because a second later his eyes were on you. He waved you over with a smile. He looked happy to see you, but he still felt a little weird for getting caught. You gotta learn how to be more sneaky. You brushed your hand together to free them of the sand, then jogged over to join the two, smiling at Cope first, then his dad.
Susan!
Susan, hi.
Yes, you hear that? He said my name, which is so cute. And also, if you ever do want to, like, go back, you can actually scroll through the story, like, back like this, so if you ever want to, like, read back.
Oh,
Like-
okay.
Susan!
How's it going?
Good to see you again. What excitement are you up to today, Susan?
Taking a walk. I found a pretty cool snail across the road. There's lots of snails around here.
Mr. Holden grinned at you kindly.
After he finished answering the question, Mr. Holden's attention returned to Cove, who was preoccupied with folding the bills he had into a tiny rectangle.
Sounds fun. You know, Goob was about to eat the stores by the beach. Why don't you go with him?
He gave a ready nod, turned to squint in the direction of the stores like you could see the goods they had to offer all the way from where you stood. Oh, is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Great, I'm sure you guys will have loads of fun.
Hey, LOZ, how's it going? It's LOZ.
Hey, Lizzie.
We're basically going through this nice little, visual novel. By the way, LOZ, congrats again on the success of your charity campaign. We ended up raising $4,000. It's insane. We absolutely did amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, LOZ, no problem. You already read this line, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Mr. Holden reached into his pocket and pulled out a leather wallet filled with money. He found it odd, since your moms only ever seemed to have cards in theirs.
Here.
He leaned in to pass a crisp 10 to Cove, giving him a wink and a whisper.
Get something for your friend, too.
Sure.
Good kid. That's my boy.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, you deserve it, Elsa. You've worked really hard all this month, last month, so... By the way, we're actually about 15 days away. We're almost 2 weeks away from Little League, and I'm pretty excited. Apparently my hotel was actually going to be getting involved with the parade, but I didn't sign up because I'd honestly rather watch the whole thing, because I hadn't gone to see the parade since 2019, so... but we are getting special Little League shirts, though, and I went and bought myself 2 of them, so that's just going to be taken out of my paycheck, thankfully, but... Yeah, I'm excited. It'll be our first time I'll be having like a full Little League, doing a full Little League this year. I'm excited, but I'm a little worried about how it's gonna go, so it's gonna be heck the next 2 weeks. God help me. I'm just hoping I can at least catch a few of the games. I'll get a free day and be able to catch the games. Because I'm hoping my boss doesn't have us be working all week, because I'm pretty sure she has to have us get a break once in a while, because I can just imagine people begging for towels each day. That's going to be a nightmare.
There, sweetie. There.
I'm just hoping I don't have to get put outside again like last year. It was absolutely miserable. But enough about that. I'm excited to see the people that are coming this year. This will be the first time we're having international teams since COVID, so I'm excited. Oh yeah, since it is going to be on ESPN, you'll be able to see it. Let me Google something quick. Trying to look at something like where the excuse me. Trying to look at something here. Map. Here we go. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, this is where the newest version. Okay. Yeah, I think the team LOZ would probably want to be rooting for is Midwest because that's where his state's in, so it would make sense. Canada's team hasn't been picked yet, so... Okay, back to the story.
Actually, I'm just gonna link you this real quick because this was really precious stuff.
Aww, that's cute. Is that like a, so someone like made art of that, or?
It's fan art of like custom idea. It's not a leak or anything.
It's cute though.
Yeah.
How's my OBS? We're still good. Okay. Back to the story. Cove's dad ruffled his son's hair as he was straightening it back up. The bill he in his hand shifted, still held out towards the green-haired boy.
Take care.
Hope accepted the bill after a second and slipped it into his pocket. Then, with one last nod to his dad, he turned and started walking. He followed after him and treated the possibilities his outing might bring. Cove straight towards the gentle tide creeping up in the sand as he fell into place beside him. It was a nice day. The sun was shining and there weren't many clouds in the sky, though the wind was coming off the ocean kept it from being too hot. He took in a deep breath, enjoying the scent of salt and ocean air. When he looked at Cope, he was dragging his feet through the sand a little, and he slowed down to wait for him. His eyes searched the ground intentionally.
Are you looking for shells?
Cove startled a little at the sound of your voice, mumbled a sort of.
If you see any, you can let me know.
You could manage that. You dropped your view to the sand walking carefully, so you didn't step on any. Now, if you don't feel satisfied with your choice, you can always change it, so...
Oh, okay.
This is just an example.
What is it?
Nothing.
You kept staring down at the ground, though. You looked down your lip. You bit down your lip a little, wanting to say something else, but not knowing what. But again, I feel more satisfied with the shells one, so
Yeah.
you can manage that. You dropped your views the sand, walking carefully, so you didn't step on any. You were good at finding shells. You had a lot of them at home, and always found new ones whenever you visited the beach. The hovering sound of waves filled the silence with pleasant white noise, and you played a little game with yourself as you walked along, getting as close to the water as possible without getting wet. It resulted in having to run up to the sand quickly when a wave rushed in more than a few times. And although Cove threw a few glances your way, he didn't say a word.
What did you want to go to the shops for?
I need a new sandpail.
Yeah? What happened to your old one?
Cove narrowed his eyes, seeming to think deeply for a second.
Whoa.
It disappeared.
What? Really?
Cove ducked his head down, lacing his fingers behind his back. Didn't seem like he was going to continue, so you nudged his arm.
How did that happen?
Well,
Cove opened his mouth and shut it again, considering.
I took it to the beach one day.
Uh-huh.
When I got home, it wasn't anywhere.
You left it there?
Nope, I wasn't at the beach when I went back.
Then you lost it.
Disappeared.
So.
What about you? What do you do out here?
I like swimming.
Cove's lips curled up in a small smile.
Me too.
It occurred to you that he hadn't been swimming in a while. There was just so much to do before school started up again and so little time. Once you reached the shopping area, the noise level grew exponentially. No longer just waves and footsteps, but the chatter of people enjoying the lovely summer day, the call of birds trying to find bits of food left behind, and lots of salespeople trying to get attention. You sniffed the air as you walked beside Cove. You could still smell the ocean, but there were other scents now, too. Pizza, pretzels, hot donuts. It's nice. The energy surrounding the area seemed to fill you. There was a bounce in your step as you began to look at all the familiar sights. There were so many things to do, you didn't know where to begin. You looked at Cove, hoping he was just as excited as you were. Cove was glancing from one side of the street to the other with a look in his aquamarine eyes that you couldn't quite work out.
What's that?
Cove pointed to a large crowd of people gathered near a few tables with large, colorful umbrellas looming from their middles. You couldn't see past the adults who were blocking the way, but you knew there must be something worth seeing. Without another word, the two of you hurried over to see what all the commotion was about. It's a guy.
What is it? Okay. Feast your eyes on the amazing Alexander!
In the center of the crowd was a man with a tall hat and a funny green coat that had 3 long tails. There was a little table next to him with a cloth hanging over that read The Amazing Alexander in glittery golden script. Why tell his people his name if it's already on the sign? Cove hummed with an understanding, then turned to walk away just as the Amazing Alexander began shuffling a deck of cards.
Maybe we could stay and watch.
Cove glanced back at the man. He then briefly lifted his arm up on his sides before returning them to place. He grinned, waiting for him to follow you as you raced back to stand in the crowd. With that, it began. The magic man pulled one card out of the deck, showing it to the curious onlookers. It was a four of diamonds.
Watch closely.
He did, squeezing through a few of the adult onlookers to get a better view. Suddenly, the man snapped his fingers and the card just disappeared.
Whoa!
The amazing Alexander, who had earned his title, turned his head and looked directly at you. He reached out with a kind smile.
What's this behind your ear?
Tell me!
This had to be going somewhere, and you needed to find out. He smelled like popcorn and candy when he stepped closer. It was great. He felt a tug, and then he pulled the four diamonds out from behind your ear.
What?
You knew that it couldn't really have come from your ear, but you still didn't know how he had done it. There was a loud applause from the crowd, and the man gave a deep bow.
This is for you.
The magician plucked a pair of balloons from a clump and then tied them down to his table. Both were in the shape of a dolphin instead of being a normal circle.
And one for your friend too. Thank you for being my assistant.
Wow!
Now you were really grateful he chose you. After that, he went to someone else in the crowd.
Pick a card. Any card.
My uncle does that every time he visits. Not the balloons, the stuff with cards.
Cole spoke plainly while reaching over to take the dolphin that had been designated for him. At least you had a fun time. You saw a magic trick and you got a great balloon. That was more than enough to make it a worthwhile event. If you thought that you could find a card to practice with, maybe you can make it disappear too. The crowd started to clear some, and you noticed to the side there was a whole rack of brightly colored kaleidoscopes on display. He picked up a kaleidoscope.
Ooh, these are cool.
You shifted your balloon string to the other hand so you could bring the mysterious tunnel to your eye. A whole palette of colors appeared right in front of you, spinning in all kinds of different shapes, and you twisted the end of the tube. Cole picked one up and he looked through it, twisting the tube at the end. After a second, he set it back on the rack, moving to the other side of the stall. He went under the awning, careful of his own floating dolphin, and you joined him.
Are you having fun?
He nodded, and you smiled back at him, happy to hear it. When Cole moved towards some stalls nearby, you followed beside him. Ooh. While Cole looked at sand pails, you were drawn to a table with colorful keychains laid out. They were sewn in the shape of sea creatures, and there was a plaque that read, "Handmade," standing proudly in front of it. There were lots of different types. You saw a dolphin, a shark, a crab, and a turtle. You picked up the dolphin. Your hand stopped on the dolphin, so similar to your balloon animal. It was made of bright material that caught the sunlight when you picked it up. You remembered once seeing a pod of dolphins swimming out in the distance at the beach, jumping out of the water and splashing as they dived back in again. That was a great day. You were instantly enamored. Checking the price, though, your heart fell. $6. You didn't know much about money, but you thought that was a lot to spend on one thing. You rarely had more than a $5 bill to your name. Though that changed the day you met Cove and his dad, you still had the $20 bill Mr. Holden gave you hidden away in your room. It was a grand sum of money, but you couldn't spend something that was all at home instead of in your pocket. Maybe you had to ask your mom to bring you here again one day now that you knew what you wanted.
Is that what you want?
Huh? Oh. It's $6. I didn't bring any money.
Alright.
It's fine.
Are you sure?
Cove took the keychain from your hands, and that was that. He was holding a small yellow bucket for himself, too.
I was always gonna get you something. I already got the money for it.
He smiled, pleased to have things work out. It was nice that Cove's dad had let Cove buy something for you, too. You had to remember to thank him next time you saw him. After Code paid, the two of you stepped out to the shore side by side, your balloon dolphins knocking together and spiraling around the air. You watched Cove hold up his new pail to his face, examining it thoroughly.
Hey, Cove.
Yeah?
I really like this keychain. Thank you.
It's nice.
Cove looked further down the street where different food carts were lined up. He rested his non-cast arm over his stomach, and just as he did, yours let out a light growl. You hadn't eaten since breakfast, and after all this wandering around, you were definitely ready for some lunch.
Let's get some food.
Yeah.
You two wandered around a short while, looking at all the delicacies that were available. Everything looked delicious, as the different smells, both sweet and salty, wafted over to you, your stomach growled even louder. After passing up hot dogs, snow cones, ice cream, and pizza, you both agreed on pretzels. Cove got something sweet and cinnamony, and you got one with cheese. Come on, cheese and pretzels go hand in hand. They're delicious. A nice soft pretzel with nice melty cheese with nice hot cheese. Delicious.
Debatable, but okay.
Hey, it's one of my favorite movie snacks. Whenever I went
Fair
to the
enough.
movies and they had pretzel bites, I always got one. Even though the cheese was a little spicy, it was still delicious.
Okay.
You licked your lips hungrily as the vendor handed your pretzel over, ready to take a big bite. It was covered in gooey melted cheese, just the way you liked it. It seemed odd to get a dessert pretzel before eating normal food. You found an empty table close enough to the beach that the grit of the sand made terrible noises when you dragged the chairs out to sit down.
These balloons are gonna make it hard to eat.
Cole placed his bucket on the table and he stared at his still balled up hand that was wrapped around the string. You opened your mouth to agree before an idea hit you.
I know.
After carefully placing your pretzel somewhere when it gets sandy, you tugged the balloon dolphin out of Cove's hand and tied it in a delicate bow around his wrist.
Oh.
Oh.
Code bounced his arm up and down in place, testing the ability of your knot. After watching the balloon jostle around but remain attached, he smiled satisfied.
Can you do it for me?
He repeated the ritual. Cole struggled somewhat with the cast restricting his fingers on one hand and the string already tangled around the other.
Okay.
Got it.
The two of you spent a moment admiring your handiwork, both hands now free, allowed you to easily munching on your pretzels. You bit into the doughy treat, savoring the taste of it on your tongue with a smile as you looked out over the ocean. After a time, you finished your pretzel. You were done before Cole. It was boring not to have anything to do. You pulled on the string of your balloon to bring it down to your level. Then you held the dolphin in your hands, manipulating it to make it look like it was jumping through the air. If you turned to face towards the beach, it almost looked like it was swimming within the waves like a real dolphin. A laugh came from your side. When he glanced back at Cope, he had left the remaining part of his pretzel on the wrapper and he was gripping his dolphin too.
Mine's name is Merryweather. He's the prince of the dolphins. He wears a crown made of seaweed, and all his friends are merfolk. Every now and then, he'll make friends with a kid and let them ride on his back.
You sighed, wishing you could meet a real dolphin like Merryweather. I think Merryweather's actually the name of a VTuber I've seen around. I don't watch her much, but I think she's really popular.
What's yours?
Cove considered the question, placing the balloon against the table and resting his finger across it, contemplating.
It's...
With a loud pop, the dolphin exploded into ribbons.
Oh.
Oh
For a second, all Cove did was gap in shock, like you. Then his cheeks puffed up, squinting his eyes, and you saw tears start to glisten.
Susan.
We're done.
You offered to find Alexander.
no! Maybe the amazing Alexander is still here. I'm sure I'll give you another one if we tell him what happened.
After a long second, Cove gave off a tiny nod in his head. You took his hand. You took hold of Cove's hand. He brought his gaze back down, gripped yours in turn. The two of you wandered up and down the street, but you saw no sign of the amazing Alexander. Finally, you were forced to give up. Still seemed to lift Cove's spirits, and that was good. The passing of Cove's balloon was the last major event of your adventure. In the end, the two of you headed back late that afternoon. You separated on the beach, and while Cove went straight home with his brand new sand pail in hand, you decided to sit for a while. You watched the waves and the sunset fiddling with your new keychain. Another summer day was drawing to a close. It'd been a good one, except for the sad final note. And that was that one. There's all kinds of cool stories, as you can see.
Yeah,
About an hour in. How are you holding up?
I think I'm doing okay. You?
And okay. I know this reading might be a little bit tiring, but
You want to do the summer ended then?
no, we can't skip these.
Oh, really? Okay, fair enough.
It adds on more to the plot.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, you can save and come back to them, but like you can save. Remember, there are save points you can always go back to. So you can always come back and continue on. So
Okay.
all right. Next one, grown up. One sweltering summer day, you were in your living room with Cove, listening to the sound of the birds chattering outside the window while you laid across the rug on your floor. Cove's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your moms had left the two of you along with Lizzie to play among yourselves. It had been too hot to go outside in the afternoon, at least according to Mommy, so your sister was starting to get impatient waiting for her golf class that evening. The three of you had trouble finding something fun to do. The beach and the playground were off limits, and you felt that it was too warm for anything like playing with your fuzzy toy animals. Then suddenly a light came to Lizzie's big brown eyes and her smile spread wide across her face. Having an idea gave her a new wave of energy.
Since we're stuck inside, I think we should be adults. They don't play outdoors anyway. They're always inside telling everybody they're too busy to play.
Why?
Why?
Duh. I said why, and it'll be fun. Duh.
What do they do inside that we don't? Besides use the phone a lot.
Excluding a small huff, Lizzie decided to ignore Cove.
What do you think? Susan, what do you think? Do you want to? I don't know. Please, Susan. When have I ever had a bad idea?
Want a list?
Whenever we play with you,
I wasn't asking you. I'll try it, but that sounds boring. It's not gonna be, I guarantee.
Lizzie seemed more determined than ever, and you could only sigh. Satisfied that neither of you were about to bail on her, Lizzie thought over her options while you watched. After a few seconds, she clapped her hands together and beamed, apparently having settled on something without asking either of you.
Okay, I'm gonna be a professional golfer. Susan, you and Cove can be a beach volleyball player, a gymnast, or a tennis player.
why can't we pick anything we want?
Because I have a fun idea, that's why.
And we have to play sports as adults?
Yep.
There's other kinds of sports too.
Right? It isn't the same. What do you think, Susan? Don't those races sound super cool? You wanna be that, huh?
Isn't there anything else we can be? Lizzie stomped a foot on the ground.
Nope. Come on, just decide already.
Knowing Lizzie wouldn't let this go anytime soon, you sighed. Cove was not impressed with Lizzie's attitude, though he didn't bother talking more about it for now. He got over the list of possibilities: beach volleyball, gymnastics, or tennis. Out of all of them, he preferred to play gymnastics. If you couldn't spend the afternoon doing cartwheels and handstands in the backyard, then you might as well practice them inside. There wouldn't be as much space as there was outside, but you could still try. Yes, that was clearly the top option.
Okay, I'm gonna be a gymnast. Alright. How about you, Cove?
I pick volleyball.
I should have known. Okay, so Susan, you're a famous gymnast, and Cove, you're on a popular beach volleyball team, and
Lizzie's ponytail bobbed when she proudly stretched her arms wide.
we're Olympic athletes who just competed in the Olympics!
Cove didn't seem all that impressed with that announcement. He made a face and adjusted the glasses on his nose.
That's really specific.
Oh, that's what makes it fun! Anyway,
Lizzie marched back and forth in front of both of you, getting lost in her own imagination.
I won all gold medals, and people are calling me the next Mickey Wright.
Who's that?
Lizzie stopped on the spot and turned on him, her brown eyes shining with impatience.
It doesn't matter if you don't know who she is. It's a golf thing. You guys won medals too. Cove, your team was bronze, and Susan, you barely missed out on the gold and got silver. It got more real if you were not all in first place. Silver sucks. I don't want silver.
You fold your arms across your chest, staring Lizzie down.
Me neither.
You nodded at Cove, happy that he had your back.
Sorry. Lots of people lose at the Olympics. Them's the breaks.
And you're the one who did, not me.
Lizzie looked taken aback by Cove's declaration, as though the thought of her losing was completely absurd.
No way! It wouldn't make sense. I'm already practicing my golf game.
She took a golfing stance to make her point, pretending to swing her club and hit an invisible ball.
So, what kind of house do you want to live in?
Cove hadn't changed his mind about winning, but thinking about where he lived as an adult appealed to him, apparently because he looked back at Lizzie with some of the anger fading.
I'm going to live on the beach.
Lizzie made a face at him, poking out her tongue.
That's kind of boring. We already have that.
No, not like the houses here with a street. On it. Right on the sand, by the water.
Just like that, all the tension was back. You hadn't had a chance to choose where you wanted to live.
That's not very fun or smart, Cove. You can't live on a bunch of sand and shells.
I want to. And I will.
Cove narrowed his eyes at Lizzie, even though she stood half a head taller than him.
You didn't even give out a list of things to pick from this time, so I'm picking that. Why are we even playing pretend if we can't imagine anything?
Jeez.
Jeez. Well, I'm gonna live in a mansion far away from here and far away from you. One with an indoor pool and a place to practice my award-winning golfing.
It's not fair.
How come you were yelling at about mine when your idea is even more impossible?
Lizzie's face flushed red, her hands balling into fists at her sides.
It's not impossible, and it's better than yours.
Disagreements always seemed to crop up when the two of them were together, and you always felt like you were stuck in the middle. When it came to the topic at hand, this time you thought... Cole was right.
Cole's idea is good. You should always say yours is the only right one. No one asked for your opinion.
He smiled slightly over the agreement that then turned to Lizzie with bolstered confidence.
You can swim wherever you want if you live on the beach.
We can swim any time when we want to from where we live now. Being a little closer doesn't mean anything.
As you.
The two of them scowled at each other.
You're being so unreasonable! You...
I don't get what you want. This game doesn't make sense.
It does! You have to be realistic! I said that!
But you're not.
You had no idea what to do to make them stop at this point. It seemed like the two of them would just keep working each other up as long as they could. Nothing you said so far kept them from being mad. Thankfully, like a greeting card angel, Mom walked into the room. Lizzie rushed to her, hanging on to the hem of her shirt and poking out her tongue at Cove. Lizzie, Susan, it's time to get ready to go.
You alright with that?
Sorry you have to leave already, Cove. Your mommy said she'll walk you home so you won't be left in the cold. Cove was still glaring at Lizzie, his face flushed red with anger.
I can go by myself.
But...
Bye.
Bye, Susan.
There was still a harsh edge to the brief farewell, but you knew it wasn't you he was mad at. Without giving Mom a chance to stop him, Cove stood up and stalked out of the room, shoulders drawn tight.
Huh?
Okay?
Worried, Mom turned to look down at you and Lizzie. You two were playing nice with our new friend, weren't you? I told the truth.
You were playing pretend, and things got intense. You were like cats and dogs.
Your sister's jaw dropped, looking betrayed as Mom put both her hands on her hips. Elizabeth! I told you to be kind to him. He's having a hard time right now. Lizzie's mouth closed back up, replaced by a tiny frown.
I know, I try. I try, but he was...
That's
No.
enough.
No buts.
We both know that we both know you can show someone a great time when you put your mind to it. We're going to apologize to Cove and his dad over the phone when he gets home from work tonight. Lizzie hung her head, dragging a foot across the ground in front of her.
Okay, Mom.
Good girl. Caught pieces of Lizzie sulking to herself about how it was his fault too, but it was over. Alright, we better get a move on.
Let's go.
Let's go, kids. Nolani, where did you leave the car keys? Mom hustled Ollie out the door, and he noticed during the car ride to golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. She was usually the first one to request which music to listen to in the car, but she didn't say a thing. Her parents noticed she wasn't in the mood to be bothered. They gave her space, and Mommy just asked you what you'd like to listen to. You chose a song that you knew Lizzie liked. Maybe that would cheer her up. You were happy to see it brighten her up right away, and she started singing along with you. Soon enough, her bad mood was a thing of the past. When the car ride was over, you spent the twilight hour watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. You didn't know much about golf, but you could tell that she really liked it, so you sat with your moms and tried to puzzle it out. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day, and you stretched out your legs to let the last few minutes of sun warm your skin. When the sun was finally out of sight, dipping behind the horizon, you all got ready to leave. Instead of going straight home, your moms took the family out to dinner. You went to a restaurant you had all been going to ever since you could remember. The whole afternoon had been a bunch of shouting, and if you hadn't been able to stop, but you could kind of tell all this helped Lizzie be less angry. The car ride home was quiet, with only the radio providing escape from silence. Lizzie had been in better spirits now, but the closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wiggled in her seat and frowned out the window. She knew what was coming when you all got back home. Clearly, she was dreading it. Soon enough, Mom was turning onto your street and reversing into the driveway. When she cut the ignition, it was dead silent. No one spoke, only unbuckled their seatbelts and opened their doors. Lizzie was the last one out. Once everyone was inside and done taking off their shoes, she propped her hands on her hips.
So,
Now then, Mr. Holden's car's in the driveway, so we should be back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? You and Cole can hash things out before the day's done. Lizzie didn't complain or put up a fight. Her head ducked so she didn't have to meet anyone's eyes. She nodded once. Good. Let's move to the kitchen. Mom went over to the house phone, the rest of you falling behind her. Mommy then put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulder and they walked side by side. You watched them from the back. This was only happening because you told on Lizzie. You hadn't liked doing it, but had to. Being a tattletale didn't feel good, and you wouldn't want someone else to tell your moms everything you did. Still, your mom had asked directly, and you wanted to be a liar even less. Before you stood around the kitchen in a lopsided square, all your eyes were on Lizzie, who kept a gaze on her feet. You remember the number for Cove's house, don't you, honey? Lizzie jerked her head in another nod, sullen. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and she began the dial. Mom reached over and pressed a button on the base. Suddenly you could hear the phone ringing. She turned on the speaker. The phone rang a couple of times, then stopped. Mr. Holden's warm voice came through the other end.
Good evening, Holden residence.
Lizzie looked over at Mommy, unsure. She nodded encouragingly.
Hi, Mr. Holden. It's, Lizzie. Can I talk to Cove?
Absolutely. Lizzie Sakura, what a surprise. But of course you could say hey to the boy.
It sounded cheery as usual, though he definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard and you were sure that your sister had never called Cove's house before. Mom spoke up before Mr. Holden or Lizzie could say anything more. Her arms were crossed over her chest. Her lips pursed.
Hi, Cliff. Nolani and Susan and I are here too. Good evening. We're sorry to bother you so late.
He spoke up to say hello too.
Hi, Mr. Holden.
The gang's all here, huh? Something the matter?
His voice grew a bit concerned. Mommy was quick to reassure him.
No, well, yes, but it's going to be okay. Lizzie and Cove got into a bit of a fight today. We were hoping that the two of them could talk and make up. Is this a good time for you and Cove?
What? Wait, fight? Cove didn't tell me anything about that when I came home. It does explain the funk he's been in tonight.
He chuckled lightly. Despite that, didn't seem like he'd really thought it was funny.
Anyways, it's good. You didn't catch us at a bad time. I'll go grab him for you.
There was some shuffling on the other end. He must have not gone far because you could still hear him calling out.
Go! There's someone on the phone for you!
After a bit of silence, there was more muffled talking from Cove's dad.
Come on, bud. Lizzie called just so she could talk to you.
Are you sure?
Susan's on the other end listening too. Don't you want to say hi?
It took a bit of back and forth, though the conversation seemed one-sided since she couldn't hear Cove properly. Eventually, Cove took the phone from his dad.
Hi.
Hello?
Hey, it's Lizzie.
Yeah, I know. Dad told me.
Cove's tone was defensive. Lizzie turned to Mom, scowling. One stern look from her, though, and Lizzie turned away.
Sorry. I just called to say I'm sorry for not playing nice with you today. I won't do it again.
Lizzie's eyes were downcast, her voice slow. You could tell she felt uncomfortable apologizing to Cove in front of everyone. She was still being genuine about feeling bad. Cove must have realized that too because he sighed quietly.
Me and Susan, she giggled.
That's right, Lizzie had kept denying you two what you deserved. Lizzie was momentarily stunned, silent by the demand. She probably forgot that had even happened already.
Alright, we'll all win the gold.
Hey, I guess I'm sorry too.
A sense of relief washed over everyone at his acceptance of the apology. Mom uncrossed her arms while Mommy's shoulders relaxed. Lizzie's eyebrows raised up. He wondered if she thought that he'd refuse her apology.
Dad, can I get off the phone now?
He couldn't see him, but it was obvious that Cole felt awkward about the situation. He had come off uncomfortable the entire time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go back to your room if you want. Sure you can say goodbye first, though.
Bye, Lizzie.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Susan.
He perked up at the mention of your name. He smiled, even if he couldn't see it.
Bye, Cove.
With that said, Cole must have handed the phone to his dad and left since Mr. Holden spoke up.
That's a relief.
All's well that ends well, as they say. Thanks for arranging this. I'm sure he appreciates it.
As Mom replied, Lizzie tugged on Mommy's hand to catch her attention.
Can I go now, too?
Good job.
Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing, Cove.
Mom flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded in her agreement. Given permission to leave, Lizzie scurried towards the stairs. She seemed to be feeling much better with the incident behind her. Mom and Mommy returned to the phone, taking off the speaker. They continued to talk to Mr. Holden. Couldn't tell what about. You were glad that was the end of it all. Lizzie and Cove might not get along, and probably still won't. They weren't mad at each other anymore. Mom and Mommy weren't upset either. Everything was finally back to normal. With that thought, you retreated to your own room with a spring in your step. Everybody in chat doing okay? Hope so.
It doesn't look like much is going on in the chat, so.
I think people are just enjoying us reading. If
Fair enough.
anybody's lurking, I don't mind.
Sounds good.
Oh, for an hour and a half. Okay, we're not doing too bad. When I keep getting pinged on Discord. Sorry, I'm just checking my... I still have Discord notifications on, so I was just checking my messages.
Oh, okay.
Just some type. Most of them are coming from the TPLJ's chat. Speaking of, I know we are gonna be reacting to the new Pokemon stuff tomorrow, so I should be up by then. Because I actually had to take off tomorrow. I took off for tomorrow because I have an appointment later in the afternoon. So
Okay.
yeah, I'll get to be home. So for most of the day, so we can watch the react.
Oh, good. Goody. So you and the VTuber and as well as the others can react to it.
We need VTuber.
The joke is the VTuber me.
Oh right. All right, long day. Let's go.
All right.
It was another scorching summer day, the kind where no sooner had you finished one cup of water, you were already filling it up again. Everyone else had something on, so that afternoon it was just you and Shiloh. This didn't happen much, especially since COVID had arrived. Without Lizzie around, Shiloh looked to you for all the answers. It made you feel frustrated. He was always wanting to hear what you thought instead of giving his own opinion and expected you to come up with a plan. It was hard work, especially for such a hot day. You drained yet another drink and frowned at the emptied vessel. Your thirst was gone, but you still craved something icy cold and refreshing. Something sweet. Something like a popsicle. You wanted something fruity and bright colored. There was nothing like that to be found at home. You knew that without needing to look. Your mom didn't keep sweets in the house. Outside, there was plenty of places where such goodies could be obtained, but they were shops and demanded payment in exchange for their product. You voiced your predicament out loud.
I want a popsicle.
Shiloh, who had been draped over the sofa, perked up.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
We don't have anything like that in the house, and I don't have any money.
Oh? Let me check if I have any.
Shiloh rummaged in his backpack and proudly produced an assortment of coins plus one straight button. You set the button aside and counted the coins in neat piles. Just over $1, you announced to Shiloh. You'd almost certainly come to the same conclusion, but he'd been watching you expectantly.
It's a start.
Shiloh beamed at you.
We'll need to find some more.
Alright.
The two of you lifted couch cushions, stuck tiny hands deep down in crevices in the sofa and under the furniture, and scoured the back of drawers. Most of what you found was useless or gross. Bent paper clips, fluffy wisps of dust, or sandy crumbs. But every so often you would strike silver or bronze and add to the growing pile of coins. Your mind wandered to the $20 bill tucked away in your room. It wasn't enough for you and Shiloh to get whatever you wanted and more, but you didn't take it out. That was too special to hand over so freely. Besides, Shiloh would be curious about where it came from, and it might even mention your wealth to Lizzie. The exchange had been a secret. Dusty and disheveled from checking every room and squinting into every tiny nook till you finished pooling your finds, Shiloh held his breath as you counted the coins once again.
$2.53 and 2 buttons.
You didn't know where the second button had decided to join the party, but you were too pleased with your success to successful haul to throw it out.
Is that enough?
You figured he knew the answer without looking to you for confirmation, but the thrill of your success and the reward that it would follow canceled out any other feelings you might have had about that.
Yeah.
You can now afford something at the shops, just one thing, but that was infinitely better than none. Shiloh clapped his hands.
Yay.
The two of you dashed outside, the promise of sugar buoyed you onto your destination where, breathless but happy, you stared at the overwhelming number of options. You knew what you wanted, but it wasn't just you who had contributed to the fun to get the treat. He seemed to notice your pause.
Aren't you getting a popsicle?
Shiloh asked as though he was entirely separate from the decision rather than someone with a stake in the outcome.
Do you mind?
Shiloh cocked his head to the side.
It was your idea. You should choose.
You went ahead and got what you wanted originally. You were thrilled that Shiloh wasn't going to be an obstacle between you and your original choice. Without waiting another second, you exchanged cold hard cash for equally cold but maybe less hard dessert. Finally, the reward of all your hard work was in your hands. You sucked down the fruity popsicle you brought. The ice tree cooled you down perfectly, and the zesty flavor was refreshing. You held out to Shiloh so you could take a turn. He shook his head.
You can finish it.
You can finish it.
You didn't want any? After everything he did to help get it? That was weird. But you accepted the offer. There was no point arguing. It was already melting under the rays of the sweltering summer sun. You eagerly tucked back in. The cold chicory tree quenched you in the way that the water couldn't reach. The two began to head back home as you ate. You were glad to give the tree all to yourself. Only half of would have been nearly as good. Even so, you couldn't help but wonder what Shiloh was thinking. You walked side by side on the shore in silence, but your thoughts kept drifting to the boy beside you. Why didn't he speak up for himself? It was almost as if Shiloh didn't know how to say or what he felt, or was he too afraid to?
Are we friends?
Shiloh opened his eyes wide, seemingly caught off guard by the blunt question.
What? Yeah, I think so.
You said that, but friends should be able to talk to each other without being scared. Shiloh wouldn't do that. Were you even really friends at all? He rubbed his hands together nervously over your non-reaction.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
You weren't sure how sorry you could be without knowing what he had been apologizing for, but you shook your head.
We didn't do anything.
It was true. If Shiloh hadn't done something mean, he just gone out of his way to make you happy. It didn't seem like it should be a bad thing, yet it bothered you.
I just don't know if you like me. I mean, it doesn't matter what I do. You're gonna act the same. I can be anybody and you wouldn't care.
No, I like you. I really, really like you, Susan. I want to be friends.
Okay. Hold on.
Mm.
Just a sec.
Okay.
Okay, we're okay now.
Okay.
You smiled hesitantly at him, and his fidgeting ceased. Even though you weren't sure if you believed him, this was only making things worse. You decided that maybe they were all types of friends. If Shiloh wasn't able to do things differently, this would have to be alright. Shiloh made you unsure about setting a label on the experience of spending the afternoon with him. There have been good times, and there have been confusing ones. You were positive of one thing at least. The tree was delicious, and that was nice. The sun was low on the horizon as you returned to your neighborhood. There you spotted two familiar figures up ahead, Lizzie and Cove. You opened your mouth to make your presence known to them, just as you saw the tears on Cove's face.
Oh no.
You walked straight over, Shiloh at your heels. Once there, you carefully asked about what happened. Without a time machine, the only way you were going to find out was by asking the witnesses. Lizzie might have done something, but she could have been in the wrong place at the wrong time, or even come to Cove's aid. You wanted to hear the story.
Cove, what happened?
Susan.
Susan, I got yelled at.
You took a deep, steady breath.
Some grandparents got mad at me.
Ugh.
Yeah, sorry.
Lizzie jerked her head in the direction of a nearby house. Your heart sunk. You knew exactly what had happened. Every year, the same mean old couple rented out that condo for the summer. You, Lizzie, and Shiloh knew to stay away from them, but Cove couldn't have.
They're like that with everyone.
Even your mom struggled to find anything nice to say about them, but the elderly pair particularly took offense to kids. Didn't matter if they were really nice like Cove.
Yeah, Lizzie said.
Lizzie drew herself up at that. She looked pointedly at your direction.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. I was helping.
That's cool. Is there anything I can do?
No.
No. No, I'm just gonna stay away.
Or you could teach them a lesson.
There was a devilish glint in her eyes.
What?
You should ding-dong ditch them. Go ring the doorbell and run. It'll be great because they're so they'll never catch you.
That's stupid. I don't want to go near them ever again.
You're just saying that because you're a chicken.
Cove glared, but he didn't take the bait. Lizzie turned to you.
You're not a chicken, are you? I'll do it. Really?
You took a deep breath and nodded. Lizzie squealed with delight.
We'll go hide right as soon as you hit the bell.
Good luck.
Lizzie and Shiloh ran across the road to take shelter in the bushes. Even once they settled down, you can make out two childlike shapes of staring from between the leaves. You knew where to look for them, though, so you told yourself that the grouchy old people wouldn't spot it. Cove sighed, his gaze flicking to the house and then back to you.
Be careful.
I'll be quick as a flash.
He gave the door and you one last look before joining Lizzie and Shiloh in their hideaway. The weight of the 3 pairs of eyes on you and your back was heavier than anything you carried before as you approached the door. You hesitated to reach for the doorbell, then you rang it. You slapped the buzzer and ran, blood thumping against your eardrums with every step. Would you make it in time? Approaching the hiding spot, you know there wasn't much time to go around the bushes as the others had done. You took a shortcut, leaping over them. Or to be more accurate, rising to the top of the bushes and then falling over to the other side. Cole quietly hissed as you unwillingly collided into him. But the way his arms were, it seemed like he'd been intentionally trying to cushion your landing. Shh. Lizzie put a finger to her lips and nodded at the house. You disentangled your limbs from Cove's and spun around to see the old man framed in the doorway, peering back and forth suspiciously. You covered your mouth with your hands, but it wasn't enough to stifle your giggles. Maybe he spotted one of you, or maybe it was the leaves you displaced while jumping, but he locked eyes with the bush and stormed over in your direction. Shiloh gasped and looked to Lizzie.
Run!
Your sister did not hesitate to take her own advice, neither did Shiloh. You got up, but seeing Cove struggling to extract himself and stand out with just one fully functional arm, you gave him a hand up before taking off after the others. The old man's holler propelled you all from the street to the sanctity of the hill. Once you were safe, you notice a stitch in your leg, in your chest, and the aches in your legs. You flopped down the blades of the grass tickling your face. Lizzie, who had taken the lead in the end, was already laying on the ground. Before you took a moment to catch your breath, enjoy the feeling of the cool grass against your skin.
Cove.
Hey, Cove.
Cove lifted his head.
I told you there were mean grandparents around here.
Cove rolled his eyes and decided this wasn't dismissive enough and rolled his whole body away from your sister. Lizzie chose to ignore his response and started chatting to Shiloh, who eagerly joined in the conversation. In the back of your mind, you knew it would be the second to Phil. In the back of your mind, you knew you'd be second to Phil again to Shiloh once Lizzie came around. It always went like that. And it was fine, you thought. Shiloh could prefer Lizzie as much as he wanted to. There were other things to attend to anyway. You wriggled closer to Cope. He calmed down for the most part and was inspecting a flower. His fingers pinched the stem and tilted the white petals towards him.
That's a poppy.
Cope glanced at you in acknowledgement, then back to the flower.
And a type of poppies on the hill of the name. White linen poppies, Mom told me.
He quirked a smile.
It's funny.
He ran a finger around the edge of the petals.
Doesn't feel like cloth. You'd need a lot of them to make anything.
He nodded and released a delicate plant, even evaluation complete.
This is my favorite kind of flower, but I didn't know what it was called. Thanks.
Oh, geez, that's a lot.
Yeah. So you can pick anything you like.
Please don't capitalize or pluralize the word. Okay.
Cherry blossom.
Cherry blossom, huh? Neat.
Thanks.
You moved onto your back with a small smile and looked at the darkening sky. The blanket of clouds reminded you of a thick throw you curled under on cold rainy days. I wonder if the clouds would be soft. They lazily floated on by, splitting from each other, merging and morphing into new shapes. You saw a dolphin. Leaping through the sky. You nudged Cove and pointed to it.
Look, a dolphin.
Cove joined you in gazing skyward.
Yeah, I see it.
Really?
No. But I like dolphins.
Hey.
He chuckled at your reaction. All the sun's light faded from the sky and the moon rose higher. Lizzie got to her feet, dusting strands of grass from her bare legs and surveying her surroundings. The ocean, visible from the crest of the hill, beckoned with every sweep of the tide.
Let's go to the beach.
There was no argument from the other two. Shiloh was still Shiloh, and Cove would never say no to going to the shore. He was a child of the sea. You wanted to go there too. So you eagerly joined the others in ascending the hill down to the water. You stepped onto the sand for the second time that day, but it felt different at night. The beach was nearly quiet at this hour. Abandoned sand castles and footsteps in the sand, too big to belong to any of you, were the only indication of how busy it had been only hours earlier. The four of you kicked your shoes off and removed socks and walked along the water's edge, the waves tickling your feet.
I wonder what would happen if you tried to take a bath in the ocean with shampoo and everything.
That would be bad for the fish.
Jeez.
I didn't say anyone would do it. Jeez, you don't have to be so serious about everything.
You're the one who asked what would happen. That is what would happen. It would hurt the fishes. I like bubble baths at home. They're a lot of fun.
Me too. Bubble baths are luxurious.
You never heard Lizzie use that word before.
Mommy loves to have bubbles in her bath. She'll turn the lights off and have candles. I'm gonna do that next time. Hey, when's your mom coming to pick you up anyway?
Not for a while. He's busy. What about your dad? How come you never talk about him? Nobody does.
Don't know. Don't you know you're not supposed to ask something like that? Why would somebody want to talk about something they never talked about?
You kept your eyes on the ground, watching your toes get swallowed up by the waves. Even if Shiloh never seemed upset when this topic came up, it made you feel awkward just for having both of your moms.
It's okay. I'm like Lizzie and Susan. I don't have a dad. But I don't have two moms. I just have one. She's really great. Oh, sorry. I only have one now, too. My mom isn't here. She's back home. It's just my dad with me.
Sorry.
Aw, I never had a dad or anything, so I don't feel bad. Really sad that your mom is gone.
Cove nodded.
Pure trauma.
Even if they're all different, our parents are good in our own ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cove couldn't mutter a response. You didn't think he truly disagreed, though. Silence broke with a splash as Lizzie kicked you in your direction. Cold water and sodden sand splattered against your leg. Lizzie giggled, foot still outstretched from the kick. Cove joined in, shrieking the incoming waves to make a splash of his own. Shiloh scurried out of Cove's spray zone with a grin. You retaliated. You used your foot to smack the water pooling around you, sending an arc of sea foam flying back at your sister. You laughed as she spluttered. Some of the salty seawater landed in her mouth. She spat it out.
Yuck!
Lizzie chased you, intent on revenge. You dashed up and down the coast, taking in turns to be the predator and the prey, as well as joining forces to take down Shiloh or Cove. Alliances were silently forged and wordlessly broken. Everything was fair game. Everything was fair game and more. Shiloh's brief exclamation was drowned out by the biggest splash yet, causing him to fall face first onto the ground. That would have probably been bad enough without the wave that followed, cascading over his prone body. Shiloh sat up, shaking his head like a dog coming out from the rain as you all hurried over to check on him. His hair was plastered to his head and his soaked clothes clung. There wasn't any part of him that wasn't still dry. You couldn't see it.
That was crazy. Are you okay?
Yeah, my foot got stuck and I fell over.
Way to
Dumbo.
go, Shiloh, you Dumbo.
You offered him some help up. Shiloh didn't take your outstretched hand. After a moment, you dropped it. Lizzie was too busy snickering to notice and held her hand out to Shiloh, too. He reached over and took it, slowly started to pull himself up from the ground. Then he slipped on the slick sand, dragging him and Lizzie down just in time for another wave to hit. The water rolled over them.
Blech!
Sorry.
Sorry.
What were the odds of that happening twice in a row? You thought they must be low. But there was no way Shiloh would do something like that on purpose and pretend it was an accident, especially not to Lizzie. Even if her relationship with Shiloh felt unclear, he did at least like her a lot. Lizzie was his favorite, right? Smiling boldly, Lizzie extracted herself from the ground and wiped a streak of sand from her cheek. She didn't intend to let this embarrass her. Shiloh got up again as well, this time without incident. He still looked like a drowned puppy, but that didn't stop Cove laughing at the two of them. With that, it was time to call it a day.
That
Before
was
you,
certainly an analogy.
yeah, before you made your journey back home, leaving a trail of wet footsteps and sand in your wake. Damp clothes may have weighed down to some of the group, but your spirits were high. Your arms swung side to side as a cool breeze flowed past. Your moms were outside chatting to Cove's dad. Yep. We're back! Your mom's faces fell as they took in the state you all were in, ranging from messy to soaked.
Now.
Elizabeth, is that all you have to say for yourself? You brought half of the beach back with you.
He certainly did. What's Marigold gonna do when she comes to get Shiloh? Is that how you wanted to be for the long drive home? Cold and filthy? Lizzie's expression turned sulky over the scolding. Being the oldest could be fun, but it also meant that she was the first to get in trouble when something was wrong. Mr. Olden, on the other hand, chuckled as he ruffled Cove's matted hair.
You've been out making memories, bucko? I'm glad you had a good time with your friends.
Cove used his slightly moist cast iron to push his dad off. Mr. Holden's eyes widened too when he noticed that noticed even that had gotten wet. Now he was worried too.
I think they could have found a less risky way to spend time and it just had just as much fun.
That might be right. Kids, what can you do? Come on, Cove. Let's get you cleaned up and dried off. You wouldn't want that cast to have to be reset.
Cove winced at the thought.
Okay.
Okay. Attaboy.
Mr. Holden casually bent down and plucked Cove off from the ground, ultimately holding Cove against his chest. Sand was already transferring up from Cove onto him, but that didn't seem to bother Mr. Holden. Cove protested being carried, but only got a reassuring pat on the back for his trouble.
Take care.
Good night, Cove. Thank you for the talk, Cliff.
Night, Sakura family, and Shiloh, too.
Reading signed to his spade, Cove twisted his body in his dad's arms in order to turn around and wave goodbye. Smiling, he waved back.
Good night.
Fine.
Well, we better do what we can do to fix you guys up too. Come on, everybody inside. I want you to march straight to the downstairs bathroom.
Ugh.
Yes, Mom.
That's you.
Okay, Lizzie's mom.
Don't worry about stopping to wipe your feet out the mat this time. That won't do much good tonight. Sitting on an old beach towel your mommy had found, you waited in the hall. Unless you were less sandy, you weren't allowed to go into your room or walk around the house. But you did get to eat a sandwich for dinner there. It felt like an indoor picnic. It had been declared that Shiloh would wash first and borrow some of your clothes. He was already finished and packed away in his mom's car, and Miss Fields had come to collect him a little while ago. It was a bit of a funny experience seeing him without the hat on for once. Lizzie, being much more soaked than you, got to go into the tub next. It wasn't a bubble bath as she'd hoped. This was a no fun allowed clean-up session. At least that's what she claimed. Not much longer and it would be your turn. When the bath was done, you'd have to go right to bed. After a day like this, though, you were glad there wasn't going to be any further events. Drifting off to sleep sounded like a great idea. Everybody doing good. That's good. Okay. I guess made a random amount. Let's see. Head pets for all. Yeah. Cute. Oops. Okay. Who's all live right now? I'm just curious. Okay. Okay. We're still okay. You feeling alright?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, I just didn't know if your throat was starting to get tired or not.
Well, to be fair, I haven't been voicing as much as you have, so I'm more concerned about if you're okay.
I'm gonna run down and get another bottle of water quick.
Yeah, sure thing. After these messages, after these messages, after these messages, We'll be right back. Hey, Pachi. After these messages, after these messages, we'll be right back. After these messages, we'll be right back. Do.
Alright, I'm back.
Hey. Welcome back.
Did I miss something?
Not really. Patch, you joined the chat.
Hey, Patchy. Hope you've been enjoying the game so far. As I said, this game is actually free on Steam. It's called Our Life Beginnings and Always. There is paid DLC though if you want to get extra stories, but it's worth it to get extra stories because it adds on to the plot later on. Sandcastle. Cove wasn't able to do many things that summer. When you, him, and Shiloh set out on the shoreline one bright morning, you could tell he wanted to be in the water. But there's no way he'd be swimming anytime soon, not with this cast. The waves washed the shingle shell to the shore, glittering in blue, another reminder of the places he couldn't go. From what you heard about Cove's old life so far in tiny bits and fragments, you could tell he'd do anything to be able to get the cast off. Like make a pact with a witch or something just to get it off his arm. He thought about how his summer last year must have been totally different from this, with his old home and his mom and his dad. Now here he was, with you and Shiloh and Lizzie and everyone else, and he couldn't even go to the sea. This town wasn't bad, it had all your favorite things in it, but sitting there on the same beach you grew up on, and you could understand that not everybody else felt the same way about Sunset Bird as you did. You watched it from the corner of your eye quietly, and he finally said aloud what you had been pondering.
I wish I could go in the water.
Hey Raptor, good to see you.
Oh, hey, Endo.
I call him Raptor. He likes dinosaurs.
Okay.
The water? Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. You're gonna be able to do it soon.
Cove's only sign of response, apparently soon, wasn't soon enough.
So pretty. The ocean. And huge. There could be anything out there. Like mermaids or
That-
sharks.
That's Cove's line.
Oh.
You read that wrong. I think you read that as Shiloh, but it's okay.
Well, to be fair, like I've been like both voices are kind of similar to what I'm doing, so.
Okay.
And huge. There could be anything out there. Like mermaids or shark people. Wait.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wish he didn't have a cast.
Me too.
Obviously not interested in hearing much more of your input on the situation. Cove turned back to the water. But as he looked away, something about Shiloh's slow, careful movements caught his eye.
Hey, are you building a sandcastle? Sort of. I was only playing around while you were talking. I'm listening. Maybe I could too. I've only made big piles before. It's really nothing special. I'm sure you'll be good at it right away. Well, how do you do it then?
Shiloh's cheeks lit up. You could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable to have Cove expectantly stare on him.
I'll be too. I love making sand stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
He put his hands back to his seashells and sand and nodded.
I don't do a lot. Here's how I like to get a house started.
Shiloh, focusing more intentionally than you'd ever seen him, guided Cove through the process. You happily used your own method. It didn't take long for the three to each have humble structures prepared.
That's all, kind of. You can do anything now. Like make it bigger, add some seashells, carve a pretty pattern, make the Sistine Chapel. I mean, I bet you'll have great ideas.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it bigger. Mine's gonna be a real castle.
Cool.
Cool. This is gonna be a house.
Looking at the base of your sand castle, you decided to make a mansion. Why not? Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to do what Lizzie would do and design a mansion. The better part of the house of the next hour was spent focusing on your own work. The boys were the same. Even Charlotte didn't sneak as many peeks as everyone else as they usually did. You finished shaping before either of them did, glancing up from what you built. Seems you got done so fast because they already started searching around for extra decorations. Shiloh grabbed most of the really interesting stuff, and Cole had a lot of the shells, but there were still options. The first thing you reached for was a blue seashell. It was the best fit for your mansion, you decided. The blue color of it still reminded you of the clear water. So you put it in a funny place, or take a second look to see it. Pleased with your result, you finally took a proper look at it around that wasn't focused on the sand itself. Both Cove and Child seemed super immersed still. You know you could probably sneak a peek at either one's work. You checked out Cove's sandcastle. The castle Cove had built looked surprisingly tidy, especially for someone in a cast. He must have worked really hard. He wasn't even finishing digging the huge gaping mold in front, but it was already enormous. You got the sense from the enthusiasm he was digging with that the doctor was probably going to find a bunch of sand when he found him with the pink plaster. Silence that was then broken.
What?
That's you.
What's on the top of yours, Shiloh?
You peek close and there's something shiny sticking out of Shiloh's sand chimney.
Oh, it's just a gum wrapper. It looks like smoke.
Neat.
It's good. That's smart.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. You really know a lot about this.
Shiloh smiled without a word. And that was for the current topic.
Susan, can I see what you did?
Sure.
You scooted a bit nearer and began surveying your work. All I really knew about the mansions was that they were supposed to be big, so you'd really gone big. It was the size of the country club that Lizzie played golf at compared to Cove and Shiloh's buildings, probably even bigger. Shiloh quickly decided to jump into the new conversation.
Hey, Susan, what did you do?
This is my mansion.
Cove scowled for a moment. Apparently the anger was actually still there after his argument with Lizzie more than a week ago.
It looks great. Your house is so big.
I guess mansions really are just big houses.
Huh? Is being a house bad?
No.
No, but we each made our own place. Nobody is the same. I think we are. I don't care.
Cove raised an eyebrow at that.
If something's the only one of that thing, that makes it special. Yeah, for sandcastles and stuff. People too. My dad always says how everybody is their own man, a real individual, and this is naturally dialogue a child would say. I don't think I'm very special.
Why?
Why not? Nobody else is you.
Shiloh simply shook his head.
I'm not different.
A beat passed between the two. Cove then looked down at his own work again.
Okay.
He didn't seem to be bothered leaving the disagreement hanging there. Cove had other things on his mind.
My dad tried to get me to make sandcastles the first time he came to the speech. I didn't want to.
Cove trailed off again. Again, there was another moment of silence. Shiloh shifted and opened his mouth to say something, but Cove spoke up before he could. He didn't think he noticed that Shiloh was going to talk.
Hey, do you know what happened when your moms met my dad, Susan?
He waited to see if Shiloh would say what he wanted to. When he didn't, you considered Cove's question.
I wasn't there. They didn't tell me. I just remember what happened when I met your dad.
Mr. Holden had been a weird stranger then. Well, he was still kind of strange. No other parent acted like him, but you knew him better at this point. Now that you thought about it, it made a lot of sense that Cove's dad talked to him about being unique. You pulled from your thoughts when Cove continued.
Oh.
Oh, well, I was there. I don't think my mom has met your dad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she hasn't. Susan's parents and my dad met the same day. I'm gonna say what happened.
Shiloh frowned to himself, ducking his head. His hat cast a shadow over his face. You could still tell that he was upset not being included in Cove's choice of topic. That was kind of boring for him, though giving people their own turn to say that the things they want is important too. He stayed silent and let Cove finish his story. Shiloh could talk about stuff after Cove had a chance to share what he had planned on.
When we moved here, we didn't bring a lot of things with us. Only some stuff that would fit in Dad's car. We didn't even get a moving truck. I sat in there while Dad brought it all inside. I didn't want to get out because I knew Dad would make me look around the new house. I really didn't want to do that.
His lips twisted into a frown as he recalled that.
Then I saw your moms. They were in a car too and stopped in your house. I guess they were coming back from somewhere or something. My dad noticed. He waved his hand, then went over to the front of your house where he started talking to them. I don't know what he said. I couldn't hear it. But he couldn't see me anymore since he was looking the other way. So I opened the car door and left. I wanted to get away and went behind the houses. I found those hills there. The ones where we met for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Cove nodded, then stared at you. You stared back. He didn't want to say anything more.
Are you going to finish your story?
Cove's brows wrinkled like he didn't understand why you were surprised.
Huh?
That's all that happened.
Thanks for telling me.
You're welcome. Excuse me, I'm part of this conversation, Joel.
Learned some of the stuff in Phase 5 and 6 of the MCU. Huh, interesting. I don't
Nice.
pay too much attention to Marvel. So, MCU is Marvel, right?
Yeah, Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay. Even if not much happened, you weren't gonna complain about knowing the story. Shiloh's mouth twisted into a scowl of disbelief, but he said nothing.
Why did you bring that up anyway?
There was a slight shrug of Cove's shoulders.
Well,
I was thinking about it because of the sandcastle. It made me remember when I moved to here. Dad showed me the beach first, before we went back to the car to unpack. He was really excited about it for some reason.
Cove's brows furrowed a little more as he quietly raked his hand through the sand.
I get it.
You thought maybe Mr. Holden wasn't that excited about the beach and was instead hoping Cove might be. But the line of conversation had come to its end. Even was done with it. Some other topic had popped into his head. Shiloh fidgeting uncomfortably in the sand had made Cove aware of his presence again. They looked at each other and you could only wonder what this might be about.
Hey, Shiloh? Yeah? Why are you always turning so red, even when nothing is happening?
Clearly startled, he jerked back. Neither you or Shiloh had expected that to be how he got included in the conversation again.
I don't know. I guess. Okay. Kinda weird.
Shiloh's eyes were wide with embarrassment as his lips twitched, and he was blushing even harder than before. Maybe it wasn't only this, perhaps it was simply the last straw, but it was a big deal to Shiloh, a huge deal. He didn't look sad, he just seemed almost panicked. You weren't sure if he was about to cry or run away, but you soon got an answer.
Why do you wear glasses? Most kids don't wear glasses, and nobody's named Cove.
who asked you to come?
Who asked you to come? It was probably just your dad bugging Susan's family some more, because you don't have anyone else who will play with you.
Cove blinked. The tension on the beach was suddenly uncomfortable in the way he didn't know how to laugh it off. It didn't seem like the kind of thing he'd get upset about, though you had never known what kind of thing would bother Shiloh.
I'm sorry. Me too. I was just wondering.
Hey, let's build another sandcastle. The day's gonna be over soon.
You're right. The sun's going down so fast.
They all went back to making more sand buildings, but the whole mood had changed. Shiloh's cheeriness was clearly gone, and Cove looked as confused as ever about why the other boy had blown up. The air stayed uncomfortable for the rest of the afternoon, right up to the moment that Shiloh's mom appeared at the beach to take him home. At least he tried to do something to resolve it, though, and it seemed like it helped. Even though Shiloh smiled when he said goodbye to Cove wavered, it stayed as bright as ever for you. That had to count for something. But with Shiloh gone and the sun going down, you knew it was time for you and Cove to head to your own houses. The two of you trailed out to the park together towards the neighborhood. The walk home was quiet. You passed by familiar landmarks, shoes thumping against the sidewalk in near perfect unison. Cole was clearly caught up in thinking about something. You asked Code what he was thinking. Something was definitely up, so you chose to reach out to him and ask.
Hey, Cove, is everything okay? You're making a funny face.
Oh.
Oh, I was just wondering.
Cole fell silent again for a few more seconds, then sighed.
Why'd Shiloh act like that when I said he was all red a lot?
You shrugged at Cole with no answer to give. There wasn't really much he had to say about Shiloh. He was Lizzie's friend.
I guess I can get it. Why would he do that? Sometimes I get really mad too.
Despite seemingly coming to a conclusion, Cove's mood was still sour.
Hey, Susan, was Shiloh telling the truth?
Huh?
His gaze left yours as he dug the sole of his shoe into the ground. He looked oddly vulnerable for a second.
Does my dad make you hang out with me? I know he talks to your moms about that a lot.
An uncomfortable weight settled on your chest at the question. You liked spending time with Cole. You didn't even have to think hard about it. You knew you did. But you couldn't help feeling guilty. Cole still didn't know what happened when he met Mr. Holden.
Nobody's making me spend time with you.
Cole's shoulders relaxed. You hadn't even noticed that he had tensed up.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Anyway, I didn't think you were pretending. I just wanted to make sure if it was okay is all.
Thanks.
Thanks for telling.
Your throat tightened. It was hard to meet Cole's earnest gaze again. Keeping secrets was hard.
Now, there is an option where you could have told Cove,
About that, and that would include like a special picture, but not worth it, honestly.
You're welcome.
By now, the two of you were on the sidewalk near your houses. It was time to part ways. You hugged Cole goodbye. You stepped forward and wrapped your arms around him tightly. You turned your head, resting your cheek on his shoulder. Cole stood there awkwardly with his hands at his sides. He wasn't much of a hugger, but you didn't get the impression he was unhappy that you were.
Bye, Cove. See you tomorrow.
Yeah. Bye, Susan.
He pulled away and jogged toward your house. When you looked back, you saw Cole making his way back home. As if he felt your eyes on him, he turned around. He waved. You did too. You still felt a little unsure what you were supposed to do about the deal Cove's dad had offered. You didn't want to say something bad, or something you shouldn't. You had no idea how Cove would take it either. It would be terrible if he made him feel bad. What if he didn't want to play with you anymore? You might change your mind sometime. There was always tomorrow after all. But for now, it was definitely something you had to keep to yourself. With a final look, you went inside your house.
And we're immediately confronted by a question. Indoraptor asks, has anyone watched the anime Spy Family?
I've been hearing a lot about that anime, and it's been getting really popular. Have you?
Ye-
Have you seen it?
I haven't, but I know some aspects of it. And I know in the manga, as of now, whenever the anime comes back, we'll be seeing a big fluffy dog soon. So,
Like I said, I haven't seen it either. I've been hearing a lot about it on Twitter and whatnot. I mean, the premise sounds cute. I guess I've been seeing a lot of art of the couple, like the mean couple.
yeah, Yor and Lloyd.
I don't know their names. But I mean,
Okay.
it sounds interesting. It's been pretty popular too, so I can see why.
Well, there's two show ideas that we could watch together. Spy Family and Komi-san.
True. Anya, that's the little girl, right?
Yep.
Yeah, she is cute. Okay, give me a sec. I actually have clothes I need to put away quick, so.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Feeling alright?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yep.
Yeah, I'm okay. What time is it? Oh, 2 hours in. Not bad. Yeah, we seem to be doing okay. Huh, that sounds interesting. Actually, speaking of conventions, I heard that Altair's group is actually going to be making an appearance at Crunchyroll Expo this weekend. They're not gonna. I don't. From what I heard, they aren't gonna be doing any Q&As. I think, but they're gonna be at like there's like a Hololive, something called like a Hololive like meeting booth or something. I guess they'll have like cardboard cutouts of the characters or something, and then you can take pictures with them. I think more of the higher Hololive members are gonna be taking questions and whatnot. I don't know too much about Hololive, honestly. So I just know the Hollow Tempest members. Again, please quiet about their names. So we're going to be sticking with their names with their, character names. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Right.
but I'm very happy for them. They're going to be making their first con appearance, and they only just debuted like last week. So I'm excited for them. I was really excited when they announced merch. I quickly got on board and wanted to buy stuff from them. Although I really wanted to get, they had like a really cool 3D acrylic frame that I wanted to get as well as a keychain. I really wanted to get it, but the problem was the shipping. It was about $25.
Yeah, that would do it.
So I decided to only settle in on the keychain for now, and even that itself, combined with the shipping, ugh, it was gonna kill my thinking. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do some separate payments for this for now, just so my parents don't get suspicious. So,
Yeah.
because they're already up on me about my spending anyway. So, speaking of, I know we gotta try and figure out what we want to gift each other because our anniversary is next month. So,
Well, we both send each other our wish lists, so that's we can go. So that's part's easy. We just gotta pick our items.
yeah. I mean,
Fortunately for me, I'm going up this week for groceries, so I can hopefully find a card and then just mail that out too.
yeah. Anyways,
What were you gonna say?
I mean, I wish I could have gotten a package together like last year, but I think maybe Amazon's probably gonna be our best bet just because we can rely on Amazon a little more, I guess. Especially considering the
Yeah.
last time your gift to me didn't come, which
Yeah,
sucked.
and it also saves us money too for both of us because that way we're not just buying the items and then paying a bunch more just to ship it out. There, it's just one and then just there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at your list again later because I'm pretty sure you said you added stuff, right?
Correct.
Hopefully, it's a good amount of stuff so I can have better options to pick from. I like seeing a
Let me
variety of stuff, so
Yeah, of course. Let me double check my wish list actually. Yeah, I added a few more things.
I'll check after stream.
No problem.
Alright, next moments. Fireflies.
Alright, tonight we're going to catch fireflies. Or volbeats. Yeah, volbeats. We'll go with volbeats.
At this blunt declaration from your sister, you looked up from your macaroni and cheese dinner. Fireflies are a familiar sight over the summer, coming out on warm nights to dance through the sky. Tonight was particularly balmy, so you knew there were bound to be a ton of them around. Oh, you are you?
Yeah,
You rocked lightly from side to side in your seat, already excited for your after-dinner activity. Catching fireflies was a great way to spend a summer evening, and you could already envision the little lightning bugs drifting through the darkened sky. Have you ever caught lightning bugs as a kid? I'm just curious.
No, I haven't.
I may have done it a few times when I was younger. We had some kids in my neighborhood that I would play with, so I remember we did have like a dog trying to catch the fireflies. This is you.
Oh, sorry. Wait. Oh, that's a good idea, Lizzie. Can we, Mrs. Sakura?
Shiloh tapped his fork against the table excitedly, his face lighting up as he looked at Lizzie. It was unusual for Shiloh to still be here. Like always, his mom had to bring him over really early in the morning before her job started. But normally, she would pick him up by now. She called before dinner to let your moms know she'd be late. You didn't hear why. Probably more work things. You thought maybe getting to hang out with Shiloh for longer is what made Lizzie want to keep running around outside. Staying at home and watching TV was never an option for her with guests over. That's why you were pretty sure she'd get your moms to agree.
Well,
Well, it's already so dark out there. Lizzie gave Mom the best puppy dog eyes she could, slowly spooning mac and cheese into her mouth while you waited for their response.
There, there.
Let them go. Nights like this don't happen every day. Your parents exchanged a look, then Mom eventually sighed and nodded back.
Yes!
Along with Lizzie's cheers, you threw your arms up in triumph, but waited until you finished chewing to say anything because you knew it was rude to talk with your mouth full.
Fine.
Fine, fine. Just make sure you stay on the hill behind our house with all the poppies, okay?
Duh, Mom, that's where most of them are.
The idea had only just been planted in your head, but already you could just picture all the glowing lights spread out in front of you, like the fairies from the bedtime stories Mommy reads sometimes. All too quickly it became a race to see who could finish their food first. No choking at the dinner table now. That's right, if someone died, we'd have to cancel the Firefly trip after all. Mom said it like a joke, but you knew they were both telling you kids to slow down. Shiloh did immediately. When you glanced at Liz, you saw her still eating faster than she should. Elizabeth!
Jeez. No one's gonna die. Jeez.
A knock on the door interrupted Mom before she could no doubt scold your sister.
I'll get it.
Your big sister jumped out of her seat and ran to the door, pulling it open without even looking to the window to see who it was.
Huh?
It's the pizza guy.
Huh?
You shifted in your seat to try and get a glimpse of the unexpected guest.
Hi.
Good evening, Cove. Your mommy had already walked to the door by the time you managed to see past Shiloh's flappy hat.
What hat? He's not wearing a hat.
Shiloh! We're talking about Shiloh.
Oh, I thought... okay, I'm not sure that was cool.
Oh, Cove, hi, you're here.
Cove smiled at your enthusiastic greeting and you hoped Mommy would ask him to stay. It didn't matter why he was there, it meant he could join you all in catching fireflies. Then for a few seconds, Cove said nothing. He only stood there and looked up at your mommy with a face almost like he was considering turning around and leaving.
My dad told me to drop this off because I guess he borrowed it from you.
Cove took a familiar screwdriver from out of his large side pocket, eyes now dropped to the floor.
We left ours back home when we moved.
Great, thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here, why don't you come inside for a bit? Lizzie crossed her arms and lifted her chin. Cove shrugged and Mom stood from the table too. I'll give your dad a call and let him know you got here all right. Cove shuffled fully inside, eyes remaining on the ground. Mommy closed the door behind him.
Bye.
Hey, Cove.
Shiloh gave Cove a friendly smile while waving by holding up his hand and opening and closing his fingers. Cove nodded in response.
Cove, are you going to catch fireflies with us?
You could see Lizzie eyeing you for mentioning the excursion to an outsider, but she'd get over it. You hoped Cove would say yes. That way you wouldn't be the odd one out with Lizzie and Shiloh anymore.
Yeah.
I can do that. I never caught one before.
It's too bad you didn't have a chance before now. The fireflies weren't out when he first moved in. There must have not been anywhere he used to live.
You can't go out until after dinner.
As she pointed this out, Lizzie walked back to the table and took her seat. There wasn't much left on her plate. Since this was very true, you decided to finish up your own stuff as well. Cole stepped closer and eyed on what was on the menu for your family's meal. Have you eaten yet? Yeah, it's you.
Oh, yeah, my dad and I ate earlier. What'd you have? Eggs.
The clipped one-word answer seemed to discourage Shiloh from asking any more questions. His eyes slowly wandered back to the last scraps of food on his plate. Your phone call with Cove's dad must have ended because your mom came back into the room.
Okay.
Cove, your dad said you could stay for a little while if you'd like, but he's going to come get you before it gets too much later.
Sure.
Fun.
Oh, this will be so fun. This will be so nice. As you polished off the meal, you hoped it would be better too. Three all finished eating shortly after, and Lizzie led the way outside. Remember, don't stray too far.
It's fine, Mom.
Shiloh trailed so closely after Lizzie, he was nearly stepping on her heels. Cove hesitated at the door.
Coming?
After a moment, he did.
Bye.
Bye, children. The two of you were a good 10 or 15 feet behind Lizzie and Shiloh by the time you walked outside. You pushed the door shut behind you, watching their figures get farther and farther away.
Hurry up! You're so slow, Susan. We don't have all night.
You started to run when you heard Lizzie's voice calling you, but paused when you saw Cove still walking at a relaxed pace. You walked with him. You fell behind, sliding up next to him and matching his stride. You noticed right away.
It's okay.
You can go ahead if you want.
You smiled and shook your head.
I don't.
After a short while, the two of you reached the hill behind the house. The fireflies were out in full force, floating on the breeze, their gentle glow winking in and out, creating an almost magical effect. Lizzie had already climbed to the top. Shiloh was spinning in circles somewhere around the middle.
Wow.
Wow.
Shiloh took a moment to come over and welcome the both of you to the hill.
It's really great out, huh? See how many there are? Yeah.
A firefly danced through the air, landing on Cove's sea green head. You and Shiloh couldn't help but giggle. Covering your mouth with a hand, the sound escaping you, and Cove looked at you in confusion.
What?
Oh. Oh, look.
Oh, look. Lizzie has one. That's amazing.
Shiloh ran to the highest point of the hill, making sure not to lose his hat or backpack along the way. You hummed as the group divided and conquered, shifting your gaze to the dozens of other fireflies sailing around. The game was on. You were so good not getting cuts or scratches, so you weren't too worried about that. Spotting one close to you, you approached it with an assassin-like stealth, crouching down to make yourself seem like at least less of a threat. Slowly dragging one foot in front of the other, you crept towards it, arms outstretched. You closed your hand around the little glowing orb, careful not to crush it. Firefly landed on your palm, almost docile, and you stared down at your prize in delight. Its tiny legs tickled your skin, and you giggled at the sensation. Cove tipped up with his own target, but when he tried to grab it, its pink cast waved awkwardly through the air, foiling his efforts to clasp his hands around the firefly. Miserable, hello! Welcome to the stream. Thank you for first time chatting. The stream is going good. We're right now going through the moments part in the game. But thank you for first time chatting and welcome. To anybody that is new here and doesn't know me, hi, my name is Susan, and I am an Arctic Fox who lives in a Sakura Grove. And this is my boyfriend, Fenrir.
Hey.
Speaking of my boyfriend, if you guys are interested in checking out their content, they are also a Twitch streamer, so go and check them out. Oh wait, that's their YouTube, I'm sorry. Let me give you a proper shout out, I'm sorry.
Thank you, sweetie.
Instead of here you go. Oh yeah, you were trying to do Twilight Princess, but you rage quitted.
Well, I more so just scrapped the streams, and I just did it privately. Because I'll be specifying this in the stream tomorrow, but to save a long story short, I don't want to play bad games on stream, and that game was horrendous. So.
I find it kind of awkward how you are actually just like the game when Altair is playing that game on his end as well, so.
Well, I guess he likes long slogs.
Don't be mean to Altair.
I mean, you know what? No, I'm not gonna go that low just because of that. But it's tempting. But no.
Good. Anyways.
Where were we? Oh, right.
You're trying to catch a full beat. Cove watched it vanish into thin air with a dissatisfied expression on his face. You encouraged him to try again.
You'll get the next one.
He nodded and Cove gave up his hunt for the moment, coming closer and peering at the insect still crawling across your palm. You held out your hand and he leaned closer, eyes widening at a tad behind his glasses. Cole remained hypnotized by the little bug as he inched his hand closer to yours. Ultimately, he settled his fingers lightly over the top of the ones you were holding open. It tingled. He stayed very still. The last thing he wanted was to actually scare the shiny treasure off. The firefly noticed the new connection, crawled up onto Cove's hand. He quietly gasped.
It worked.
Yeah, you got one.
Cove's lips turned into a small, slow smile as his eyes shined brighter than the bug.
Thanks, Susan.
With a laugh, he gave the palm of your hand a friendly smack, performing an awkward low five. Startled by the extreme movement, the tiny light disappeared before you could even blink. Your firefly was gone.
Sorry.
Oops. Sorry.
Bruh.
You forgave him.
That's okay. I couldn't keep it forever.
You're right.
Right. Bugs have to stay outside. Let's get another.
He decided to collect more.
Haha, we can work together.
His face broke out into a wide grin.
We'll get a bunch.
With renewed vigor, you ran out into the hill. You're not sure how much time passed while you were in the thick of it. All you could focus on was the adventure at hand. No critter was safe from your grasp. At first, you tried to keep a tally of how many you had caught, but once the number grew higher than 10, you had no more fingers left to count with. You were having the time of your life, racing up and down the hill with the crash of the ocean and the sound of everyone's laughter echoing in the background.
Susan!
Susan, this way.
He followed the sound of Cole's voice up to the top of the hill, watching as he stretched his arms in front of him, reaching with his fingers and only narrowly missing his target. Cove and you took turns trying to scare the fireflies in the direction of the other. You showed him some techniques that you'd learned, like how to cup your hands correctly, and he listened attentively before trying for himself. There were a few times where you almost ran into each other, giggling as you dove to the side at the last moment. Luckily, disaster was avoided each time. It was overall a huge success with the both of you catching multiple fireflies each. Eventually, the fireflies began to thin down and your energy started to last. You decided it was time to call off the hunt. Cove didn't complain. He breathed in heavily, and his face seemed really flushed.
That was fun. A lot of fun.
You smiled at him broadly, happy that he enjoyed the activity.
Yeah, it was.
Come on!
Susan, Cole, get up here. We're gonna have a race.
The shouting caught you off guard. It had been quite a while since you heard from Lizzie or Shiloh. You glanced over to see both of them standing at the top of the hill again, Lizzie beckoning you with the quick hand gestures. If she was like that, you knew there wasn't much room for disagreement. Up the incline you went. From the corner of your eye, you saw Cove was coming as well. You didn't care for Lizzie a lot, so you thought you might be intrigued just by the idea of a race.
Hey.
Go!
Hi. Cole. Hi. Cole, you can't roll down the hill. You can hurt your arm again. You'll be the referee for the rest of us.
As Lizzie pointed out, Cove rose in place. Oh, it was that kind of race. He frowned down at his cast. This was the second time it got in the way of tonight.
What?
Yeah, you'll watch as he gets to the bottom first. That's important. Got it?
I guess.
I guess?
The cast was sturdy. If he was careful, he could have done it. Lizzie might have just been looking for a reason to make someone else the referee, but it was already decided. You got in a position for the race. Satisfied with this, Lizzie moved to lay down. Shiloh did the same. Cove stood slightly to the side to get a better vantage point. It seemed like he was taking his newfound referee duties seriously.
Countdown!
You quickly got into position as well, resting on your side in the grass and tucking your arms close to your chest.
3, 2, 1, go!
3, you took off, letting gravity do the work and rolling at high speed towards the bottom. You squeezed your eyes shut, a light laugh leaving you and consequently allowing a few blades of grass into your mouth. You sputtered, reaching down to wipe them away. It threw you off balance and sent you careening sideways.
Oof.
Black!
Everyone started too close together because of the slight turn you made, and Shiloh and then Lizzie collided in a heap. You tumbled down the last few feet in a pile. Shiloh's elbow was in your stomach, and you were pretty sure Lizzie's hair was in your mouth. But you survived. Perhaps it wouldn't have been safe for Kobe after all. You could hear him laughing in the distance. When you opened your eyes, you saw the starry sky above, and Cove still on top of the hill, staring down at the three of you with an amused look on his face.
Hey, feel fat, fresh. I think Shiloh was the first one at the bottom.
That didn't count. We need a redo. Kids, it's time to come in. No. You sighed, not knowing it was from contentment or exasperation, and then closed your eyes again. It had gone late, and it was beginning to feel just a bit chilly as you made your way out of the hills. But the cold air in the air hadn't dampened anyone's spirits. The four of you walked back home together, side by side, down your neighborhood street, discussing the evening, with each person trying to prove that they were the one who caught the most fireflies. You knew that whoever really did catch the most, it didn't matter much anyway. All that mattered was that you had a good time, which, judging by the smiles on everyone's faces, you did. That's the first half of the beginnings one. What time is it? 8:30. Okay. Trying to think here. It's already 8:30. I think we can stop here for today, because we've already gone through half of the DLC. We can just continue the other half of the next time. I already saved the game, so we should be good. Alright, well, that was the first part of Our Life Beginnings Always, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys had fun. We will continue this again. It's, maybe another day. I should be free tomorrow after 3 o'clock, so we'll see how I'm feeling. If you're not busy tomorrow, sweetie, maybe we can try this again.
I'm gonna be cooking tomorrow at around 3, so...
Well, I mean,
will
like,
be there on
maybe like at 6 or something, will you be free, or...
Oh, yeah.
Maybe around then we can, play again. If you feel
Yeah,
like
sure.
it. Alright.
Sure.
Now let me see. Who do I want to raid? Oh, I could introduce you to someone I met through a raid from Molly. This guy debuted recently too. Thanks for the lurk. We're actually about to go raid. We're gonna go raid, JVTuber. He is, oh, well, this is him, but I did the wrong thing. This is who we're gonna raid into. JVTuber. He's doing a subathon. He's in the middle of a subathon right now, but he just debuted a couple weeks ago. He's an angel VTuber, so he's doing some ASMR right now, so if you're really into, like, the soft whispers, I'd recommend it. He has a really nice voice. Alright, so thank you everyone for joining me. Oh, I almost forgot. I gotta make a raid message. Snow fucks weed. Raid. Yeah. Raid. Raid. Let me get the Bulbix emote. That's the one for subs. And then Snow Fox, Raid. One with Fox emote. And this is the one for without subs. Let me just go ahead and copy the raid message. So, thank you guys for coming by. So until next time, I'm Susan, and from my boyfriend and I, thanks for watching. Bye!
Take care.